What's up, what's good? And as always, I like to welcome you motherfuckers to the Hood on Lock. As always, damn, I almost said my own company name wrong. Y'all caught that shit? Real nigga shit though. Anyway, y'all, as always, I like to give a shout out to the first in the building. And I know this show was scheduled for earlier today, but I see my fam tapped in twice. What's up, Miss Howard? I know you. Wait, no, today the weekend. You're not at work. But either way it go, I appreciate you watching. Love back. Shout out to my girl Vicky Love in the motherfucking building. My second part of my ride or die duo. My my Cali nigga James Hudson in the motherfucking building. You already know. Vicky talking about she on one too, huh? I see her in the backstage. I'm about to bring her up in a minute. Salute Hood on lock. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hey man, I appreciate y'all, man. Like y'all don't understand now. Like I love having an audience that, of course, fuck with me, but actually ain't slow, ain't dumb, don't always be believing bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I got the realest audience, regardless of the numbers, on this motherfucker. James said, when I saw Lil Wayne drop the block as hot as a shorty, I knew he would be a beast. Yeah, he a beast in that studio. I just don't respect his fake blood card, though. Oh, you is at work. Okay, okay. I work on the weekends. Okay, my bad, my bad. Thought you was at the crib. That's why I don't call in. I'm always at work. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have a show on one of your off days. Can't wait for you to tap in, loved one. Anyway, though, today's topic, y'all. We were supposed to talk about it yesterday. I did two back-to-back shows. I was gonna do a third one, but I decided to cook pizza for the family, and in the process of making my pepperoni steak pizza, supreme pizza, I lost track of time, y'all. It was like shit 9 o'clock when I got done. And, once you eat that good ass food, you get the itis, smoke a few blunts, and it's night, nigga, after a shower. You feel me? But I'm on this motherfucker today, and I definitely want to look at it. I have not watched this video. I am aware of the story in this situation. And like I say, sometimes I will watch some of the video before I show it to you guys. Sometimes I don't watch none of it, depending on what it is. But the goal is to watch it with you guys to kind of have a similar or, enjoy the reaction that I have and you guys have together. So before we get involved, let's see what the fuck Vicky talking about. She on one for. I can't wait to hear what this is about. What's good with you, Vicky? What you on one for today?
Hey, I just saw the title and I'm just on one just off
Ah,
the title
shit.
of this. So
Here we
be
go.
prepared.
Oh, I'm always prepared
Be
for a fight.
prepared.
You be prepared. You the one be getting all butt hurt, so you make sure you can handle the smoke and the hot seat. Again, though, I have not watched the video, you guys. I'm gonna watch it with you. I don't know if we're gonna watch the whole thing because this woman did testify for a long ass time. But we're gonna do what we can, man, and we're gonna tap in and find out what's going on with this case. This is the police officer that killed Daunte Wright, which I believe, and the Hood on Lock believes, she was not justified to do, and therefore she should be thrown under the jail, just like if it was us that shot somebody. Let's
Quick
tap in and
question.
see. Go ahead.
Did you hear about the truck driver who killed those four people?
Man, that's not right too. I was gonna do a live on that either later
Um,
today or tomorrow.
you
That's
know he
that's not right.
bypassed the emergency exit because of his fight or flight thing. He bypassed the emergency exit. Could have easily just saved those people, but it was an accident.
So hold on, hold on,
So
hold
should
on,
we
hold on, hold on,
demonize
hold
him
on,
for the
hold on,
accident?
hold on. You
Even
said
though
the
he's
deep.
trained in how
Hold
to
on.
avoid it.
Yeah, but you gotta realize you could be trained in something and that don't
Yeah,
mean that you're
yeah.
gonna always react the way you're supposed
Right.
to
You're
in certain
right.
situations. Now,
You are so right.
again,
I
I don't know the
100%
full
agree.
I don't know the full details of his story. I am going to look into it because I was definitely going to do a live on that. But even if he could have exited right, and for whatever reason he
Mhm.
decided not to, his brakes was malfunction. Now, then I got to look into it before I even can speak on it, because then you also got to ask yourself, well, if his brakes are malfunctioning, even if he hit the exit, you said the exit, right?
It has an emergency truck exit. If
Okay,
your
he
truck brakes are messing up or something, you're supposed to take the exit.
but how's he gonna stop it? Even if he does, he's
It
still,
it's designed to help with that situation. That's why they have them on
and
there.
because he was illegal, you said he kept going.
No, he just was fight or flight. He had the issue with the brakes. Instead of doing what he was trained to do, he just bypassed the exit,
Oh, I thought you said he
which
did it for a reason. Well, like I said, people are trained in all kind of different scenarios and situations,
you're right.
including our police. And these
Right.
motherfuckers, like, you don't know what you're gonna do in a situation till you in it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I want to definitely look in that because I don't know the full details. But based off what I do know, if this was truly an accident, uncontrolled, RIP to the people that died and lost their lives and their families.
Right.
Condolences. But a man should not get 111 years strictly off an official accident.
And he shouldn't
When
be demonized as if he's a
right,
monster for accident.
and then you
Even if
got
you're trained to do something and to avoid its situations, someone
well,
should not be
right,
demonized because it could be you
right,
next in that situation
and then we also got
off of
people
the accident.
who then murdered, who then raped, who then did all kind of shit, and because they play crazy or condemn crazy, they at home watching my show right now. So we gotta really look at this shit and the way this shit is structured, though. An accident is that an accident. His brakes failed. I see they verified that. Like, what do you do? I would have panicked too. Driving probably 60 plus miles an hour and a big ass 18 wheeler, uncontrollable, can't stop. Man, no telling what went through that man mind. But I'm gonna definitely look into that and we'll discuss that more when that show comes about. But right now, we about to tap into this police officer and see what the fuck she talking about.
Kimberlin Potter, Potter.
All right, counsel.
Thank you. Ms. Potter, will you speak into the mic? Because both of your lawyers have a hard time hearing.
Yes, there's just the next here.
Okay. You stated your full name. How old are you, ma'am?
49.
And are you married?
Yes.
And is your husband in the courtroom?
Yes, he is.
And what's his name?
Jeff Potter.
And how long have you been married?
Over 25 years.
And when did you first meet your husband?
When I was 15.
Regardless of her race,
Yes.
she definitely
And
needs
did
to
you
be spoken on. I'm gonna look into
reunite
that also.
much later?
Yes, when I was in college.
And what does your husband do?
He works for a healthcare system now.
Is he a retired police officer also?
Yes, he is.
And where was he a police officer?
Fridley, Minnesota.
Was he also a member of a drug task force?
Yes, he was.
And with respect to your children, do you have children?
Yes,
And what are they, two boys?
I have two boys,
And what are their names?
Nicholas and Samuel.
And are they in the courtroom?
No, they're not.
And where is Nicholas?
He's an active duty Marine.
And where's that at?
He's currently stationed in Florida.
And your other son, where's he at?
He's in college in North Dakota.
And are they going to be home for the holidays?
Yes, they will.
Is your mother in the courtroom?
Yes.
And your sister?
No, she's not.
But is your brother in the courtroom?
Yes, he is.
And besides your brother and your mother, your father's deceased?
Yes.
And do you have any other siblings?
I have another sister and a brother.
And what are they? Do you know what their ages are?
My oldest sister's in her 50s, and my other brother's in his 50s also.
And what do they do for a living?
My sister works for a medical device company. My oldest brother works for a parking company, and my other brother works for retail.
Going back to when you were a youngster, where did you go to elementary school?
Immaculate Conception Catholic School,
And where was that located or is located?
Columbia Heights, Minnesota.
And did you live in that neighborhood?
Yes, I did.
While you were at elementary school, while you were going to that school, did you have a police officer visit your school?
Yes.
And do you actually know his name today?
Yes, it's Officer Michael McGee,
And where was he a police officer
the
at?
Columbia Heights Police Department.
And why was he at your school?
He was doing bicycle safety for grade school kids.
And you remembered his name. Anything else that was significant about him that caused you to do something in your life?
He was, on that occasion, he really influenced me as a youngster that the police are good people, and I wanted to be something like that someday.
And because of that, and because of him being at your school, did you start out doing that?
Yes.
And what was your first job or volunteer work as some type of a law enforcement officer, student, explorer, school cop?
Well, the first thing I did was when junior high was a school patrol officer, if that counts.
Yes, that does count. And what did a school patrol officer do back then?
It was junior high, so we helped the younger grade school age children get across the street.
And did you continue to do that throughout junior high?
Yes, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
And after getting into high school, what did you do?
The Fridley Police Department came to my high school and had a booth set up for the Fridley Police Explorers.
And did you
I don't want
did
to
you join
hear
the Explorers?
all
Yes, I
this
did.
about how
With
she
flag to
grew
the
up.
police chief.
I want to hear about what
If you
actually
remember,
happened.
did you just do drive around police work?
You know what I'm saying? I want to hear how she grew up. Everybody got a sad story. I doubt her.
Did you show the footage of her after she shot the gun?
I damn sure ain't showed it in this show. That what you asking me?
That would be very helpful, so we can get
Kari
like
told me
some
there
type
was
of context.
obvious smell of marijuana and some
You
seedlings.
talking about the point of her being distraught or having
right
an
after
issue
he shot the
with
gun
with
and
what she
falling.
already did? I've seen it. Is that what you're talking about? I've seen it.
Did you show it to the masses?
Yeah, when it happened.
Okay.
Shake residue on the center console and inside the vehicle.
Okay, there we go. You wanted to
Sure
show
wasn't
it.
a bad one. Appreciate their lights in the passenger seat.
The judge muted it. So
And do you remember the warnings on them at all?
Not from those days, no.
And with respect to weapons confusion,
hey, G-Way, that shit rare
was there
anywhere for
ever
them to
any
shoot a white
training,
weapon.
actual training?
Y'all
about
know more
weapons
white people
confusion
died
as you
as
remember
the
it?
cops than
No.
black people, right? Y'all know that, right?
Did you
That's
even
a
know what
that's
weapons
true.
confusion was?
I don't know if that's true.
Wait till I
It,
finish
it
the
is.
question.
Just look it up. It's just not as
Before
popular
April
to
11th.
talk about.
It would be mentioned in training, but it wasn't something we physically trained on.
And by that you mean what?
There was no
Exactly, Miss Howard. You know how to
training
do
on
it.
weapons confusion. You wouldn't be set in a dark room and told to grab which weapon.
That's what attorneys do.
So I'm going to go now to April 11th, 2021, a Sunday. And you surely remember that day. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Shit, you know,
Yeah.
if that 5 cops go, it seems
You were
like for
an
every
FTO
one
that
they
day
prosecute
for
for this
Officer
type of
Lucky?
shit.
Yes, I was.
And that day, what time did you go on duty?
6 a.m.
And was Lucky on duty at that time too?
Yes.
At about, what did you do during the morning? If you remember, did you just do drive around police work?
We just did police work. We would have checked a squad car if we wouldn't have had calls right away.
It was a Sunday.
It was a Sunday.
So approximately around 2:00, did you pull up in back of, or not you, Officer Lucky was driving the car, right, the squad?
Yes.
And you were the FTO. Where were you seated in the car?
In the passenger seat.
And tell the jury what you remember about first seeing the white Buick on that day, approximately 2 p.m. And
I
talk
would-
slowly.
Officer Lucky and I were driving south on Zane Avenue North. We were talking about pursuit policies, doing some regular FTO training, and he observed a vehicle in the turn lane with a blinker on inappropriately.
And was that the white Buick?
Yes.
And did you have a conversation with him about that?
Yes.
And what was that conversation?
We discussed a little bit of suspicious activity. He noticed a pine tree or air freshener hanging from the rearview mirror, and the tabs were expired.
And did you stop that vehicle?
Officer Lucky wanted to stop the vehicle, yes.
And let me ask you sort of a hypothetical. If you had been working alone that day on Sunday afternoon at 2:00, would you have stopped the vehicle for? I can't even finish the question, Your Honor.
All right.
That's not fair.
The
It's simply, they know how to try a lawsuit, I would
Okay.
think.
The objection is overruled. You may answer.
My question was, if
Oh,
you
he's
weren't
the
with a field
prosecutor,
training
y'all.
officer that day and you were on patrol alone, would you have stopped that vehicle?
Most likely not.
And why not?
An air freshener to me is not, it's just an equipment violation. And during the COVID times, the high COVID times, the Department of Motor Vehicles was so offline that people weren't getting tabs, and we were advised not to try to enforce a lot of those things because the tabs were just not in circulation.
Okay, so during this time, COVID, she just stated that they were instructed not to trip or, worry about certain things. If she was on this call by herself, due to her previous instructions, she would not have done it. But she allowed some other officer, I believe her partner or whatever, convince her to make this bullshit ass stop. So we already see the first signs of what we could consider racism, because if you've been instructed by your superiors not to trip or stop people for these type of violations, then other than black, why would you still do it? Let's continue to listen to her testimony.
Okay, but you did stop the vehicle, right?
Yes, part of field training is that my probationer would
What's
make
good?
numerous
My
contacts with the
nigga got
public
a
throughout the
million
day.
fucking names on this motherfucker.
And what happened after the stop? If you remember, go ahead.
Before Officer Lucky stopped the car, he ran the vehicle, confirmed that the registration was expired and that the registered owner had a petty misdemeanor type warrant.
She was told
for
to do
some
it,
type
but she
of
just
drug
verified
offense.
that. And she
And
wouldn't
that
have
was
did
the
it
registered owner
on
of
a
the vehicle.
normal
Yes.
day by herself.
So after you did that while you were still in the squad car and not,
Yes, it's part of the multitasking that a probationer will have to do, is run a vehicle license plate, call into dispatch, and initiate their lights.
okay, and try and talk a little slower. I know you're probably nervous, but I'd like to get all this in. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you stopped the vehicle, is that right?
Officer Lucky initiates the traffic stop.
And what happened after he did that?
The vehicle stopped kind of in an entrance to the church on 63rd, and he got on the PA and told the vehicle to pull ahead just a short distance.
Was that because he was parked in the driveway of the,
Yeah, and I think there was a vehicle trying to come out, as I recall.
okay. What happened next?
Officer Lucky and I exited our marked squad car. Officer Lucky walked up to the driver's door, and I stood at the right rear corner of the white Buick.
So you did get out of the car.
Most definitely.
And why did you stand where you were standing?
Part of it was so I could see where Officer Lucky was, and to provide cover to see what else was in the vehicle.
In your experience of 26 years and being a patrol officer all those years, is stopping any vehicle at any time that you don't know, does that be considered a dangerous situation?
Yes.
Why?
Sometimes there's guns in the car. Sometimes there's uncooperative people. You don't know who you're stopping.
Yeah, because you don't know, right?
Right.
So while you were standing there in the rear of the vehicle, did you hear what Officer Lucky said?
I could hear parts of the conversation. He didn't seem to be in any distress when he was asking questions.
Okay.
He took out his notepad and and it looked like he was writing down something which would end up being a name and date of birth.
So
Okay.
far,
After he did that,
no
did
major
you
issues.
two go back to the squad car?
No warning
Yeah.
signs so
And
far.
at some point in time during the stop or right after it, did Officer Lucky do anything in connection with obtaining another squad car?
Yes, he called for a second car to come.
What is that about? What?
It would just be a backup officer.
You're
The
his
registered owner
backup.
had a warrant of some nature. It wasn't a bad warrant. It was just a regular petty warrant,
A petty warrant.
which would still
So
leave
hold
a
on,
second
y'all.
officer.
I just listened to her testimony. You just heard her say he had a warrant, and on her own, she knew she had to clarify that it was a petty bullshit warrant. It wasn't nothing. Once again, the trip. So let's pay attention. So far, this woman has testified her superiors or department had notified all of them not to stop, arrest, or write tickets for petty shit such as air freshener. I'm assuming in the window. Then we follow up after that, and hold on, I'm high, y'all. What she just say? Let's play it again.
What happened after the stop? If you remember,
Yeah, excuse me.
Go
I'm
ahead.
going that good.
Before Officer Lucky stopped the car, he ran the vehicle.
Oh, and my
confirmed
bad.
that
That's
the
what
registration
it was.
was
Okay, so they was instructed not to do this, and then followed up with damn, high as fuck. Oh, he had a warrant, but the warrant wasn't nothing. Again, they should trip on. So basically, they're telling you, you know, they got some bullshit, but it's
What was the
nothing
warrant for?
she didn't say what it was, but she said it wasn't nothing serious. It wasn't nothing that they could consider dangerous. And you'll hear it again in a second.
Okay.
But she's also verifying that the warrant he did have was not nothing. And I don't know if you guys ever been in a situation. I have personally. I've been pulled over, had a bullshit warrant, and the police was cool. Was like, man, this is some bullshit. Just go clear it up. And I've had that actually happen to me a few times. So no, you don't go to jail for every warrant unless it's either dangerous or you're like super outstanding on it. But most of the time, as long as you ain't got no drugs or no dope in the car or no serious warrant, the police don't really, trip on you. Let's continue to listen though. So far, y'all follow. The department instructed them not to pull people over for bullshit ass infractions, especially during COVID. And this dude didn't have no serious warrant on his name to where it warranted death or even arrest. Let's continue to listen to her testimony.
Expired, and that the registered owner had a petty misdemeanor type warrant for some type of drug.
Hold on, let me
offense.
stop again. I appreciate her honesty though, y'all. I do. Because most police officers wouldn't have used the word petty when mentioning the warrant. They would have just said warrant and let you figure out what level of warrant you thought it was. And I'm pretty sure in shock she wasn't coached to say that part. Maybe she was and she forgot. But I do respect her honesty because she's making sure we understand that one, the traffic stop shouldn't have happened, and two, his warrant was nothing of alarming to the police department.
and that was the registered owner of the vehicle.
Yes.
So after you did that while you were still in the squad car and not.
Yes, it's part of the multitasking that a probationer will have to do is run a vehicle license plate, call into dispatch, and initiate their lights.
Okay, and try and talk a little slower. I know you're probably nervous, but I'd like to get all this in. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you stopped the vehicle, is that right?
Officer Lucky initiates the traffic stop.
And what happened after he did that?
The vehicle stopped kind of in an entrance to the church on 63rd, and he got on the PA and told the vehicle to pull ahead just a short distance.
Was that because he was parked in the driveway of the?
Yeah, and I think there was a vehicle trying to come out, as I recall.
Okay. What happened next?
Officer Lucky and I exited our marked squad car. Officer Lucky walked up to the driver's door, and I stood at the right rear corner of the white Buick.
So you did get out of the car.
Most definitely.
And why did you stand where you were standing?
Part of it was so I could see where Officer Lucky was. and to provide cover to see what else was in the vehicle.
In your experience of 26 years and being a patrol officer all those years, is stopping any vehicle at any time that you don't know, does that be considered a dangerous situation?
Yes.
Why?
Sometimes there's guns in the car. Sometimes there's uncooperative people. You don't know who you're stopping.
Yeah,
I understand
because
that
you don't
part.
know, right?
I understand that from a police perspective. And there's some crazy motherfuckers out there in the world.
So
So I get the point of them
while
trying to
you're
make sure that
standing there
them and their partner is protected. I get that.
in the rear of the vehicle, did you hear what Officer Lucky said?
I could hear parts of the conversation. He didn't seem to be in any stress when he was asking questions. He took out his notepad, and it looked like he was writing down something which would end up being a name and a date of birth.
Okay, and after he did that, did you two go back to the squad car?
Yes.
And at some point in time during the stop or right after it, did Officer Lucky do anything in connection with obtaining another squad car?
Yes, he called for a second car to come.
What is that about? What?
It would just be a backup officer. The registered owner had a warrant of some nature. It wasn't a bad warrant. It was just a regular petty warrant, which would still, you'd want a second officer. Or I guess in this case, a third officer. Officer Lucky and I are considered only one officer.
And why are you and Lucky just one officer?
Because he's in field training and he's a probationary employee.
Oh, he's not official.
So
Okay.
did the third officer, Officer Johnson, arrive at some
Wait,
point?
so if he was basically new to the force and you're his superior, or you've been there longer than him, when he initiated the stop or wanted to stop him, why you just didn't tell him, no, we was advised. You just testified you guys was advised not to trip off of this. So when this new motherfucker wants to do this, rookie or not, especially as rookie, you supposed to make sure he upholds the department instructions, which is not trip out of your own testimony on these type of things. He's like one of them racist motherfuckers that couldn't wait to join the motherfucking police department. But that part alone is just my opinion. Let's continue to watch her testimony.
Time?
Yes, Sergeant Johnson arrived.
And
What's good, Ms.
was
Laker?
that
What's
before
up?
you
What's
looked
good,
up in the
SL?
computer about this driver of the vehicle, or after?
I don't know exactly when he arrived. I know Officer Lucky and I were
Rookie,
doing.
first day at work.
or
This
Officer Lucky and I
motherfucker,
were
not first day at
discussing
work, but
running
just joined the force.
the name he
and
was
already
given
on
through
some
some various
bullshit.
systems.
Okay, and did you do that, you and
Ms.
Officer Lucky?
Laker, I don't know the race of the other cop. I hope that comes out soon. Mr. Little, I don't know his race, but if I had to guess, you already know what I'm going with.
Yes.
Was there any correction that you told him about during this time that he shouldn't have put the name in one?
He had gone to the Minnesota
Are
because
you
the
saying he was
driver
black, or
didn't
you
provide him with
said,
any government
are you
issued
asking,
ID.
Ms. Laker?
He would have had to verify some information to run him properly in our system through TriTech. So you
She
run
said
them
the
sometimes
rookie is
through
black, so
Minnesota
I'm assuming she's
DBS
saying
with
she's
just a
verifying that he was
name and a
black.
date of birth. It'll
But
give you a
goddamn,
Soundex hit
the
on
nigga
various
did him
people
like
with that
that?
same, either same name or common name.
Oh, Uncle Tom
With the date of
ass nigga. God
So did you
damn.
correct him on that?
All right, Ms. Laker,
We were
thanks for
talking about, I
correcting
don't
me
know if
on
I
that.
corrected him on it, but
So what happened
So
after
Uncle
that?
Ruckus
he would
ass
copy
cop
the
then.
OLN, which is a driver's license number, off the screen, and then put it into our TriTech system, or CAD, and that would run him through the state for driver's license and warrants and other hits.
And did you find anything about the driver?
The driver came back with a suspended driver's license,
Ms. Laker,
gross
if your phone
misdemeanor,
is working
bench
properly,
warrant for
feel free
weapons,
to tap
and
in. Or you can
protection
call
order.
in using the calling number.
So
I
the
know you
gross
be having
misdemeanor
phone
for
issues,
weapons
so
ordinance,
you can always use
what
the
went through
calling
your
number if you
mind,
want
if
to
anything,
participate that
when
way.
you read that?
If your stream,
It
your
would be
phone giving you
concerning that there'd be a
StreamYard
weapon
problem.
on the person or in the vehicle.
And why would that be?
In my experience over 26 years, I have found guns in cars, either by accident or by them just being sitting.
Okay, I was talking, but I didn't miss that, you guys. They assumed that this black man, from her testimony, might have had a gun in the car because 26 years on the force, she's found guns in cars accidentally and on purpose. I mean, that's part of your job. I'm pretty sure in 26 years on the streets, you would find guns in cars. but we do not need police officers assuming everybody has a gun in the car. So I'm gonna rewind it, and I want you guys to pay
No,
attention to
well, it
this.
would be easy to assume because of the quote
No,
unquote
we don't.
petty
We don't
warrant
need officers
that has the
assuming.
gun that he put
No,
to the girl's head.
no, we don't. We don't.
In
We
it,
don't need officers assuming what's in the car.
you
We
don't
need you
have
to
to
even.
assume. You just have
We
to look
need
at the
you to
warrant.
know. No, we need you to know what's in the car. Hold on, Vicky. What's good? You on the hood on lock?
Hey, bro, what's up?
What's good with you? Who this?
Lakers, knucklehead.
Oh, I couldn't even hear you, Lakers. What's good with you?
Nothing.
All right, so I take it that you participating on the show, so you go ahead, hold on, and I'll get back to you in a second, Miss Laker, or let me know when you got something you want to speak on. All right.
Okay.
So yeah, we're about to go ahead and continue to play this testimony and continue to listen to what she has to say.
Appreciate their lights.
Okay, and one, try and talk a little slower. I know you're probably nervous, but I'd like to get all this in. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you stopped the vehicle, is that right?
Officer Lucky initiates the traffic stop.
And you also
Yeah.
verify, Miss Laker, that Officer Lucky is black.
What
right?
happened after he did that?
The vehicle stopped kind of in an entrance to
Yeah,
the
the
church
working
on
was black.
63rd,
He
and
was
he
just
got
one
on
of
the
them
PA
picture,
and
but
told
the
the
white
vehicle to
You
pull
could tell.
out a short
He had
distance.
no reason to stop that boy for air freshener hanging up on the mirror. That was not that serious.
Now look, when the law comes to us, right, we get penalized for responsibility, right? So this officer who's been on the force for 26 years, right? Hey, that to me, that's highly experienced on the force. Not only did you claim, which we're going to get to later on, that you grabbed the wrong weapon by mistake, of being on the force 26 years and arresting and finding guns in cars, you grabbed your wrong weapon. But we'll get to that when that part comes. But you're telling me that with 26 years experience, your department tells you not to do something, and you let a rookie override you?
Right, and not only that, there is no way that she had that what you got to do to discharge that taser.
Right.
You don't have to do that to that.
Well, hold on, Miss Laker. Hold on, Miss Laker. Hold on, Miss Laker. Hold on. We're going to get to that part when it comes up. We're going to focus on the part at hand. As a 26-year experienced officer, how do you let a rookie convince you to go against your department instructions?
Because she wanted to pull him over too.
Right. Or something, because there's no way in hell, if I'm 26 years in the game at any job and my superiors tell me not to do something, I'm going to let a new rookie fuck my career up. Because basically, he the reason why she's in this situation. When she should have took her 26 years experience and said, no, the department said we're not going to do that. Turn the flashers off, or let's continue to go, or tell the man have a good day and keep pushing. So don't act like you was totally against this shit, because you the one with the experience. But let's go ahead and continue to listen to this woman's testimony.
Was that because he was parked in the driveway of the?
Yeah, and I think
Oh, and like I was saying, if you commit a felony or you commit a crime and the person that's with you end up getting killed, you responsible for that death, not the person that killed them. So we all living by the same rules, which we're going to get to that part later on in this testimony, then she's definitely guilty. But let's keep listening.
there was a vehicle trying to come out, as I recall.
Okay. What happened next?
Officer Lucky and I exited our Mark squad car. Officer Lucky walked up to the driver's door, and I stood at the right rear corner of the white Buick.
So you did get out of the car.
Most definitely.
Is me smoking too loud in the mic, y'all?
Why did you stand where
Y'all
you
let
were
me know,
standing?
man. If y'all can hear me
Part of it
smoking,
was
let
so
me
I
know,
could see
'cause
where
I don't wanna
Officer
fuck up
Lucky
y'all
was.
experience.
And to provide cover to see what else was in the vehicle.
In your experience of 26 years and being a patrol officer all those years, is stopping any vehicle at any time that you don't know, does that be considered a dangerous situation?
Yes.
Why?
Sometimes there's guns in the car. Sometimes there's uncooperative people. You don't know who
Listen
you're
to her
stopping.
excuse, y'all, and why she feels
because
that
you
way.
don't know, right?
Right.
So while you were standing there in the rear of the vehicle, did you hear what Officer Lucky said?
I could hear parts of the conversation. He didn't seem to be in any distress when he was asking questions. he took out his notepad, and it looked like he was writing down something which would end up being a name and date of birth.
Okay, and after he did that, did you two go back to the squad car?
Yes.
And at some point in time during the stop or right after it, did Officer Lucky do anything in connection with obtaining another squad car?
Yes, he called for a second car to come.
What is that about? What?
It would just be a backup officer. The registered owner had the driver came back with a suspended driver's license, gross misdemeanor, bench warrant for weapons, and protection order.
So a gross misdemeanor for weapons ordinance. What went through your mind, if anything, when you read that?
It would be concerning that there'd be a weapon on the person or in the vehicle.
And why would that be?
In my experience over 26 years, I have found guns in cars, either by accident or by them just being sitting out in plain view.
And what about a person?
Okay, so she uses her 26 years experience in this situation where there might be a gun in the car, but she didn't use her 26 years experience when her department or superior told them all not to trip off a petty ass shit like air freshener scents in your fucking window. Why did you not use them same 26 years experience and tell that rookie, no, we was instructed not to do this. Let's continue to go on about our day and get a real criminal or whatever the case you want to call it.
Person with a weapons warrant?
They're more likely to be carrying a weapon or have a weapon access.
Can you
to them.
define real criminal?
So, what about the temporary? Was it a temporary restraining order that came up? Was that it? Or?
Yeah, I think they're called export.
When I said real criminal in the context, I just used it in meaning someone who's actively committing a crime.
So the warrant for Daunte Wright, who had an open warrant for choking and threatening to shoot a woman and had her at gunpoint for $820, is not considered a real criminal. Is that a fake criminal?
Are you sure that's what it was? Because
The warrant
this officer testimony, who's actually involved in this case, that knows what's going on, she just said everything that he had was petty. Nothing to trip on, nothing to arrest. So for you to say he has something that sounds pretty harsh in his warrant, why would she testify that his warrants were something that was petty?
Because they probably had to exclude it from evidence.
No, we ain't talking about what they probably had to do. This is her
there's a process.
This is her testimony. If she could speak and call them petty warrants, she can definitely speak and say, well, this one was for what you just said, which to me sounds like a serious crime. She don't have to just downplay them only. If she's able to speak on them, whether it's a dangerous situation or a lightweight one, she can speak on it. She called them petty on her own to let the court, jury, and judge know he had nothing that really caused him to be fucked with. Out of her own testimony. I don't know what you heard, but she just testified.
The girl who went to the cops after she got choked out and everything, they had to prove that he did it. There was a warrant out for his arrest.
Okay.
The only thing they had to prove that he did it first. That's why the warrant was out for his arrest.
Okay, but look,
that's why
let's say what you're saying is true.
Or petty.
I don't know. Say what
because
you're
they
saying.
Didn't know yet.
Hold on. Let's say what you're
so
saying
he had
is
to go
true,
down
right?
to the police
hold
office
on.
To
but hold on.
Verify
this is irrelevant conversation though. Because say
no,
what you said.
No, it's not.
You got to listen before you object. So even what you just said was 100% true, right?
It is. You can look it up if you want to know.
What does that have to do with her shooting this man?
What does that have to do with? Well, first off, it debunks what you're saying that she did. It was harsh for her to assume there might be a weapon in the car.
Yeah, it is because
he just used one a couple days prior.
Well, she said when she read his report, she didn't see nothing too alarming. Did she not just say that? Regardless of how you feel about it, this is an officer with 26 years. Hold on. Answer the question. This is an officer with 26 years. She keeps letting you know how long she's been doing this. So she's not a rookie. If she told you she looked at all his warrants, she read his report, she just testified that right before we stopped the video, and she's testifying in court, she saw nothing alarming, why should we go with what you're saying compared to what she's testifying to.
I don't know. I'm just gonna make up stuff, and we're just gonna go off based off of what
Plus, he's
you
not
see.
guilty until he was charged with it. He was not charged with it.
You could take that route
He
too, but
had
when
he
I,
had to go down to the court office to
I'm
verify
saying
if
that's
that
why he shouldn't have
happened.
been a threat.
right, he
He
shouldn't have
wasn't
been a
charged
threat
with
because he
it.
wasn't charged with. But this is the point I'm making, though. Before we even go to that route with it, right? Before we even jump to that, the whole point is this woman is testifying, y'all. Y'all hear me? She's testifying that when she looked at his record, read his, she said she also read it. She said she also read it. She didn't see nothing that was alarming. So what happened after they processed? What could have happened later on? That shit is irrelevant. At this point in time of this stop, this 26-year experienced officer is testifying. She saw nothing that alarmed them.
What I'm saying is it's not
Right.
hard to believe that she was concerned there might be a weapon. He did shoot a 6-year-old boy and leave him paralyzed for the rest of his life. He did choke out a woman a couple days prior and had a gun to her head. These are facts that actually happened.
Look, you saying these are facts that actually happened.
Yes.
But again, I'm sitting here listening to the officer with 26 years experience that's involved in this. And I refuse to believe or go with someone, no disrespect, a viewer like myself
Do you think
over the officer who's testifying, who's involved, who's trying to save her own life and career with 26 years of experience.
But if you hear me out real quick, there are reasons why some things cannot be admitted into evidence. Just with the Ahmaud Arbery trial, I'm so with Ahmaud Arbery, but at the same time, his criminal history could not be admitted into the court hearings and stuff because he used to rob houses and use jogging as an excuse to work out and shit. I understand that, but still, the people who shot him were not justified because at the time he was not robbing anyone. He was in that empty house. Sure, he might have been casing the site and trying to see what else he can get away with, but at the same time, you were not justified with shooting him.
Okay, well,
You have
we
to
don't want
understand
we don't
why
want
a
to jump.
criminal history is
We don't
important.
hold on, but we don't want to go back and forward in different cases. Though we want to focus on the case in hand. Now, what you sound like you're saying is, and you said it earlier. They're stopping her from. They might be, not they are. You assuming they're withholding her or stopping her from seeing or doing certain things. And I've been in court. I know how this shit go. If she's able to speak on it, she's able to speak on it. If she's not, she's not. So if she was, for instance, go with what you're saying, not allowed to speak on the bad warrant or warrants in general, then she wouldn't be able to say petty warrants. She wouldn't be able to speak on
There's
it at
certain
all.
things that cannot be admitted into evidence, just like in the Kyle
But
Rittenhouse
you
stuff.
cannot verify
The
any
people who were on
is
the
being.
stand and stuff,
But
some of
look,
them you could not bring up their history.
look. You're
Even if
talking
you
about stop,
did,
Vicky. You're
it can
wasting
bring
time, Vicky.
context on
Stop.
what
You're
happened
talking
and what took
about
place.
Vicky. You're
You're
talking
still
about.
not,
Hold
and you'll
on,
be held in contempt
Vicky.
if you
You
were
have
to.
no proof that they're stopping her from saying anything, do you? You're assuming. We don't assume over here. Do you have any proof that they told her she cannot speak on certain stuff? No, you don't. You're speaking on other cases. That's just irrelevant. We're talking about this case at hand. Can you have any proof that she was instructed not to speak on any warrants he had during this trial? Do you have any proof on that?
The warrant that they're
Anything?
speaking on is just accusation that he needed to come
Okay, well
down to
we don't
verify.
need to worry about all that. Accusation don't mean shit.
It would not be hard to believe that he had a weapon
Vicky,
based off the
we
warrant.
not gonna start the show on ifs and assuming. We listening to facts and the trial.
And I'm telling you facts.
No, you're not. Because you cannot tell me or prove to me where you saw or heard they instructed this woman or they're withholding certain stuff before this trial took place. Until you could do that, you're just
I'll just send
assuming.
it to you. I'll send you all the information because I look
You
up
can't
stuff before I
assume
talk
in
on it.
a legal case. Nothing is assumed. It's all straight facts. No assumption.
Right, but what I'm saying is, oh yeah, you do legal shit. Let me ask you this. I mean, I already know the answer, but I'm just gonna ask you anyway. Has there been any proof that you know of, or have you seen anything that says that this woman was instructed or being told not to speak on certain things in court? Talking to you,
No,
Laker.
because when you come to court, when you in court and you testify, there's something that's not supposed to be addressed or mentioned, so the jury don't hear it.
Right, and they will instruct you that. They will instruct you that. That part is true. That can happen, right? But we have no proof. Hold on, Miss Laker. Hold on. You right though, but hold on. But we have no proof that this officer was instructed not to speak on anything in this case. For all we know, she got the right to speak on whatever the lawyer asks her. See, we
Okay.
can't. Right now, I know what Vicky's saying because I've seen cases like that where they say, "Okay, you can't use this in court, or you can't speak on this in court, or you can't show this in court." I get what she's saying, but the point I'm making is, and I hope everybody's listening. The point I'm making is, we can't assume that that type of scenario took place in this case without proof. That's all I'm saying. We can assume that would happen, but we don't know. We can't sit here and say, "Oh well, she was told not to speak on his criminal history." Where's the proof on that? Now, if you could show me a news report or her saying before the
I will.
trial,
I'll send it to you.
hear me out. That's saying, "Oh, I was instructed not to speak on his background." Then
She's
we'll
not
go with that.
elaborating at all. You can tell that she's not elaborating on anything. And they told her not to elaborate. Because if she was to elaborate, it will bring what they said that she could not talk about, obviously, into the court, which they said you couldn't do.
Vicky, only thing she's been instructed to is what to say to protect her own ass. That's the only thing they coached her to and protected her to give herself the best outcome in this. That's it. When they get these officers,
why her downplaying that would give her a better outcome? That doesn't even make any sense.
No, she's being honest. She's not downplaying it to give her a better outcome. She's being honest.
If she was to elaborate on the gun charge that he had, on the what he did to that girl, or what he did to the prior victim that he attacked and is paralyzed, people will have better context on what she's talking about. It's obvious that she's not elaborating because that wasn't admitted.
Don't you think when her defense?
He was not charged with that though, so she can't say that he was not charged with it.
Okay, if that's true, that makes point too. But do you think that when her defense pop up,
I agree, Miss Laker. I agree.
But her defense also, if that is a factor in this case, that's up to her defense lawyer to bring.
It's not up to it's up to the judge, not the defense lawyer.
No, that's not what I'm saying. In the line of questioning, that would help her case out if he did do that shit you just said and was charged with it. Not assumed did it, but was charged with it.
He will, if he were to do that and they said they couldn't talk about it, he'll be held in contempt. He cannot do that.
Let's get back to this. I don't want to get off this too much, you guys. Let's continue to listen to this woman tell us her version of what happened that day.
It would be a temporary protection order until the parties would either have a court hearing in front of a judge to make it a permanent order.
And there would be a name of a female on that?
Yes, there was.
And was there a female in the Buick or in the automobile that was stopped?
Yeah, in the front. Yes, in the front passenger seat.
So after you learned that, did you also learn something? Did Officer Lucky tell you something about drugs or marijuana?
When he initially got back to the car, he told me there was a obvious smell of marijuana and some seedlings or shake residue on the center console and inside the vehicle.
Weed residue, weed smell. He's blowing in his car.
With all of that information, what did you do next?
We told Officer Lucky explained to Sergeant Johnson what was going on. I corrected.
Where was Sergeant Johnson? Was he in your squad car?
He was standing at my passenger door.
Go ahead.
And
so we have a
Officer
sergeant
Lucky was
on the
explaining
scene
to Sergeant Johnson what was happening and what he wanted to do. Officer Lucky only told Sergeant Johnson that he had a warrant, and I told Officer Lucky that he needed to tell Sergeant Johnson what the warrant was for. A weapons violation warrant would be cause for care and concern.
Okay.
All right. And after that conversation, what happened, if anything, next?
We got out of the vehicle. Sergeant Johnson was going to the passenger side. And
Excuse me, don't mean to interrupt you. Back up a little, I'm getting ahead of me. What was the plan when you got out of your vehicle with Lucky and Johnson was outside? What was your plan?
The plan was for Officer Lucky to get the driver into custody for the warrant, and we'd further investigate with the female who she was and if she was the petitioner or the subject of the restraining order.
Were you required by policy and law in learning about that warrant to arrest the driver of that car?
Yes, it was an order of the court.
And with respect to the restraining order or whatever you called it, did proper police procedure that you knew of for 26 years required to find out who that lady was?
Yes,
And why would that be?
it's my duty to find out who she is to make sure she's not in harm's way. There's been times when that hasn't happened and somebody has ended up killed because that wasn't followed.
So now we're at the Buick. It's a Buick car, white car. Is that
It's a
right?
white car.
And now we're at the white car, and you three went up to it, correct?
Yes, Sergeant Johnson went up to the
Where did
passenger
Johnson
side.
go?
He went up the passenger side to provide cover.
And what does provide cover mean?
Keep an eye on the occupants of the vehicle, and just to monitor what's happening outside in the world. See if
And-
people are walking up on you or things go wrong.
And where were you located?
I was towards the rear corner of the car.
And where was Officer Lucky?
He was advancing to the driver's door.
And how, by the way, before this, how long had you known Officer Lucky?
I think we were on our 5th shift.
And he was pretty new arrival, was he? Or,
I believe he was in 2nd phase maybe, but he had been a police officer before.
okay, what does second phase mean?
He wasn't in his initial 4 weeks. He was in the start of his second 4 weeks.
And he testified, you knew at least back then that he had come from another police department, correct?
Yes, I think he worked at 2 previous agencies and he was an explorer.
Okay. Now let's go back to when you three arrived at the white car. We've already said
Hold on
where
real
you're
quick.
located. Officer Lucky was at the driver's door, is that right?
Yes, he would have been standing behind the post between the driver's door and the rear passenger door.
What do you mean by that, standing behind the post?
He wouldn't have been directly in front of the door because that would be unsafe approach.
And this was this a warm day? Was the window down? Remember?
I don't know if the window was down or not.
Okay. But in any event, where were you standing again?
At the left rear corner.
And did you hear what Officer Lucky said?
Yes,
So-
I heard him ask the driver to step out of the vehicle a couple of times.
And did the driver step out of the vehicle finally?
Finally, he asked Officer Lucky a couple of times what was going on, and Officer Lucky said he would explain to him.
When he got out of the car?
Yes,
And so did the driver get out of the car?
yes.
And what do you remember happening next?
All right, you guys,
Officer
I'm back. My
Lucky had
bad.
him
Did I miss any good points?
turn around, and I think he was still
Oh,
asking
yeah.
what was going on.
I need to hear.
Sergeant
Who's he?
Johnson,
I don't miss it. I ain't never heard
the
this.
passenger side to provide cover.
And what does provide cover mean?
Keep an eye on the occupants of the vehicle, and just to monitor what's happening outside in the world. See if
And-
people are walking up on you or things go wrong.
And where were you located?
I was towards the left rear corner of the car.
And where was Officer Lucky?
He was advancing to the driver's door.
And how, by the way, before this, how long had you known Officer Lucky?
I think we were on our 5th shift.
And he was pretty new arrival, was he? Or,
I believe he was in 2nd phase maybe, but he had been a police officer before.
okay, what does second phase mean?
He wasn't in his initial 4 weeks. He was in the start of his second 4 weeks.
And you testified, you knew at least back then that he had come from another police department, correct?
Yes, I think he worked at 2 previous agencies and he was an explorer.
Okay. Now let's go back to when you three arrived at
He
the
letting the Ricky run
white
this show.
car.
though.
We've already said where you're located. Officer Lucky was at the driver's door, is that right?
Yes, he would have been standing
Take out
behind the
something for
post
them.
between
I
the
don't know
driver's
what
door and
I want. Take
the
out
rear
something.
passenger door.
What do you mean by that, standing behind the post?
Take out the
He wouldn't have been
shrimp.
directly in
Something
front of the
with the
door
shrimp.
because that would be unsafe
Take the
approach.
shrimp out and something else.
And this was this a warm day? Was the window down? Remember?
I don't know if the window was down or not.
Okay. But in any event, where were you standing again?
At the left rear corner.
And did you hear what Officer Lucky said?
Yes, I heard him ask the driver to step out of the vehicle a couple of times.
And did the driver step out of the vehicle finally?
Finally, he asked Officer Lucky a couple of times what was going on, and Officer Lucky said he would explain to him.
When he got out of the car?
Yes,
And so did the driver get out of the car?
yes.
And what do you remember happening next?
Officer Lucky had him turn around, and I think he was still asking what was going on. Sergeant
he?
John,
Who's he?
the driver,
Go ahead.
and Sergeant Johnson and Lucky told him he was under arrest, and I told him he had a warrant.
Okay, so who said he was under arrest first?
Sergeant Johnson, I believe.
And Sergeant Johnson testified here. You remember that?
Yes,
And after he said that, did Officer Lucky say he was under arrest too?
yes,
And you heard that?
yes.
And what did you say then?
I told him he had a I told him he had a warrant.
You just said warrant.
I think so.
Did you specify what kind of warrant, if you remember? If you don't,
I don't think I would have. It wouldn't have been in my normal.
okay. So what happened after Johnson and Lucky said you're going to be handcuffed or you're under arrest, and you said that there was a warrant? What happened next?
Officer Lucky had him put his hands behind his back, and I noticed that in the driver's right hand was something. It was paper or something, and I took it out of his hand and had it in my left hand.
And you had that in your left hand?
Yes.
And then what happened next? Why strike that? When you did that, I take it you got closer to the driver?
Yes. I reached into the driver's hand and took out what he had in his right hand. And had it in
Right
my-
hand or left hand?
His right hand, and I held it in my left hand.
Okay. And what happened next?
Officer Lucky started to say something about don't do that, don't tense up, stop doing that. And then it just went chaotic.
What do you remember happening after that?
I remember a struggle with Officer Lucky and the driver at the door. The driver was trying to get back into the car.
Well, he was trying to get back in the car. What did you do?
I went around Officer Lucky as they're trying to get back in the door. I'm between the door and Officer Lucky and the driver. And the driver's getting into the car.
And what happened next?
They're still struggling, and I can see Sergeant Johnson and the driver struggling over the gear shift because I can see Johnson's hand, and then I can see his face.
And you knew Johnson for many years before this, is that right?
Yes.
And by looking at his face at that point in time, what did you interpret it to mean?
He had a look of fear on his face. It's nothing I'd seen before.
Well, hold on. Did I just miss something? Hold on. Is she talking about the shooting?
Did you
Hold
learn, if you remember? If you don't,
I don't think I would have. It wouldn't have been in my normal.
okay. So what happened after Johnson and Lucky said you're going to be handcuffed or you're under arrest, and you said that there was a warrant? What happened next?
Officer Lucky had him put his hands behind his back, and I noticed that in the driver's right hand was something.
They can understand
paper
it.
or
Always
something.
say crime.
And I took it out of his hand.
You better.
And had it in my left hand.
And you had that in your left hand?
Yes.
And then what happened next? Why strike that? When you did that, I take it you got closer to the driver?
Yes. I reached into the driver's hand and took out what he had in his right hand. And had it
Right
in my-
hand or left hand?
His right hand, and I held it in my left hand.
Okay. And what happened next?
Officer Lucky started to say something about don't do that, don't tense up, stop doing that. And then it just went chaotic.
Nah,
What
those
do you
just went
remember happening
chaotic.
after that?
I remember a struggle with Officer Lucky and the driver at the door. The driver was trying to get back into the car.
Right.
Well, he was trying to get back in the car. What did you do?
I went around Officer Lucky as they're trying to get back in the door. I'm between the door and Officer Lucky and the driver. And the driver's getting into the car.
Okay.
And what happened next?
Continue, bitch.
They're still struggling, and I can see Sergeant Johnson and the driver struggling over the gear shifts because I can see Johnson's hand, and then I can see his face.
And you knew Johnson for many years before this, is that right?
Yes.
And by looking at his face at that point in time, what did you interpret it to mean?
He had a look of fear on his face. It's nothing I've seen before.
Did you say anything when you saw this? What did you do?
We were struggling. We were trying to keep him from driving away. It just went chaotic. And then I remember yelling, taser, 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 and nothing happened. And then he told me I shot him.
How many times did she shoot this nigga again? Is it once?
It was one time.
Oh, okay.
Can you proceed or do you?
Yes, it's fine.
I think James a fool said the Ibby goes too.
After the driver said you shot him, do you remember what you said? Or do you, if you don't remember, did you look at the video and see what you said? Or do you actually remember what you said, I guess is my question, not with help from a video.
I don't remember what I said.
And what do you remember next, if anything?
They had an ambulance for me, and I don't know why. And then I was at the station. I don't remember a lot of things afterwards.
Do you remember saying something about prison?
No.
If you did say that, do you have any idea now why you would say that?
No.
Was the climate back then about police officers a little rough?
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection is sustained.
All right. You don't remember saying it,
No.
and you don't know why you said it.
No.
Do you remember the response that our Sergeant Johnson or Major Johnson gave you?
No.
And when next do you remember what happened, if anything, if you remember?
I remember getting an ambulance, and then I was at the station.
Okay. And you remember being in the ambulance, arriving at the station?
No.
You don't remember the
No.
station?
I remember getting to the station.
Once you got to the station, do you remember what happened next?
The next thing I remember is Officer Fricky was in the room with me
And where were you located? Do you remember that?
in the front office.
Okay. In the front office room, do you remember, were you sitting down, standing up?
I was on the floor.
And after that, at some point in time, did your husband show up?
Yes.
At what time do you believe, from back there, April 11th, at what time do you believe that your memory came back to you?
Probably when my husband got there. So much of it is missing.
Now, in a minute, we ain't gonna watch this whole video. We got pretty much a lot of it. I am going to go a little bit further into the video, though. But I want to hear everybody's opinion. So be ready to call in or be ready to hit that StreamYard link to give your opinion. I appreciate Vicky always showing a nigga some love and popping up here. I appreciate Miss Laker on the call in. But I want to hear everybody's opinion. You don't have to agree with mine. Y'all know how it is. I just want to hear how you guys feel and what's your thoughts on this shit once I stop the video completely. So y'all get ready to call in and tap in with me. I appreciate it. Y'all hit that like button as always. Welcome to the hood on lock. Let's go.
After that night, and for the last few months, have you been in therapy?
Yes.
And did you still work as a police officer there?
No,
Did you quit?
I did.
And this was your career?
Yes.
And when did you quit?
A day or two after the incident.
And why did you quit?
There was so much bad things happening. I didn't want my coworkers, and then I didn't want anything bad to happen to the city.
And did you own a home in Anoka or Hennepin County at the time?
Yes.
You and your husband?
Excuse me.
The objection is relevant.
The objection is overruled. Please.
Did you own a home, your family home, for years past?
Yes.
And did you sell it?
Eventually.
Before you sold it, did you move out of the state?
Yes.
And do you now live out of state?
Yes.
We have a moment, Your Honor.
The piece. Sure.
Thank you.
You know, they got to get their back.
It's the only
So,
reason why they testify these trials. Should have been trying to get CD on purpose.
well, you know, even in real murderers and real criminals, uh, you know, it's all the same game you run. You know, whether you did it or not, your goal is to what? Go home, right? So you know everybody plays this role in part. It's not just the police though. When we get caught up, we in there doing the same type of shit too. Like it's just part of this is how this shit goes. But you know, we our main point is, do we believe she did this shit intentionally, or well, obviously she did it. So the other option will only be accidentally. So let's keep listening a little bit. Then I'm gonna get everybody's opinion.
But that's why they charge you with manslaughter.
They don't.
Morning, Ms.
They
Clark.
rarely get hit
Morning.
with the big boy.
You've been a
Rarely.
police officer, or were a police officer for
But manslaughter
26
means
years.
that you did it, but you
Yes.
did it unintentionally. And
You said you started in
they can find
1995?
Yes.
her
And that was
guilty on
with the
They
Brooklyn
charge her
Center
with
Police
anything
Department for that
else. It'd have
entire
been hard
career,
to
right?
say.
Yes.
You know, whether she
And you
did
said
it
that
on
you
purpose or not.
resigned
So
from the
they
Brooklyn
charge
Center
you
Police
with
Department,
manslaughter
right?
because
Yes.
they're saying that you did
And that
it,
was on
but you
April
did
12th
it
of
not
this year,
intentionally.
right?
So yeah, she did it, and she said she didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah.
She's guilty of
Within a
that.
day or two of the incident.
Right
Hold on, Miss
after
Lake. We're
Like,
gonna let you
shot
chime.
and killed
Hold on, Miss
Daunte
Lake. We're
Wright.
gonna let you chime in a minute.
And throughout
let you
that
get your
time
shit
period,
off.
you were a
Just hold on.
licensed peace officer, right?
Yes.
And to become licensed, you had to go through a number of requirements. Fair?
Yes.
You had a college degree.
Excuse me, Your Honor, the prosecutor speaking to that mic too.
Sure.
Thank you.
You have a college degree, right?
Yes.
And you also had to complete the peace officer education program. That's that skills component that you talked about.
Yes.
And that included skill sets and classroom training as well.
Yes.
You had to pass an exam to become an officer.
Yes.
And then you did all that before you started with the Brooklyn Center Police Department in 95, right?
Yes.
And then you got your license through the post board, correct?
Yes.
And that stands for Peace Officer Standards and Training.
Yes.
So you were licensed throughout that whole 26-year career, right?
Yes.
And you maintained all of the requirements to keep your license,
Yes.
including all the training that was required for it as well, right?
Yes.
Heavily
And
trained.
that training that's required for your license has all different kinds of components, true?
Yes.
You have things like use of force, use of firearms, tasers, all kinds of things.
Yes.
And you did all that training.
Yes.
And you did all that every year throughout that 26-year period, right?
Yes.
She eating her
Sometimes
ass
multiple
up
times
because
a
I
year,
see where
right?
this is going.
Yes.
And all of those requirements were in place to make sure that you were at the beginning of your career and continued to be, competent and capable of performing the requirements of the job, right?
Yes.
You mentioned on direct that you were also a hostage negotiator as part of your duties, right?
Crisis negotiator.
Crisis negotiator.
Wow.
Did that involve some hostage type situations?
I've never had a hostage situation.
Okay, but crisis negotiation.
Yes.
And that involved some de-escalation tactics, I presume, correct?
Yes.
And you had to develop that skill set and be pretty good at de-escalating situations as a crisis negotiator, fair?
Yes.
So you had some experience in stressful situations doing that.
No.
So you were a crisis negotiator, but never experienced a stressful situation?
We talk to people.
Talk to people in crisis.
Yes.
And part of your job as a police officer is dealing with people on their worst days, right?
Yes.
People who don't want to cooperate with you sometimes, right?
Most of the people we talk to in crisis are either barricaded behind a door or talking to you from another room.
Okay. For 26 years, you were a patrol officer, right?
Yes.
So you saw people out on the street every day as part of your job duties. Okay?
Yes.
And you talked about doing a lot of traffic stops during that career, correct?
I did some traffic stops.
Okay. Well, in some of those cases, there are people who have weapons, right?
Yes.
Sometimes people want to flee, right?
Yes.
Sometimes people are violent.
Yes.
And all of that's part of being a police officer, dealing with people in those situations, right?
Yes.
You'd agree that you're bound by policy and the requirements of the job that Brooklyn Center, the police department, sets for you, right?
Yes.
And you heard Commander Fleslin testify, but you have to acknowledge those policies and essentially agree to abide by them every year you were an officer, fair?
Yes.
And you'd agree that your fundamental duty as a police officer is to safeguard life, right?
Yes.
And you also have the duty to never employ unnecessary force. True?
Yes.
Part of the policy also includes some of your responsibilities as an officer, right?
Yes.
And that includes being alert and attentive and capable of performing your job, right?
Yes.
And getting back to the training and sort of the post requirements, there's a lot of training that goes into being a police officer, fair?
Yes.
And we talked about a couple of those things, but one of those subjects is use of force, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And use of force can include things like restraints, handcuffs, defensive tactics, chemical irritants, using batons, tasers, less lethal weapons, and firearms as well, right? All those things are options available to you. True?
Not all of them.
Okay, well, you carry a whole number of things on your duty belt every day, right?
Yes.
And that includes a firearm and a taser, right?
Yes.
And you also had other items on that duty belt as well, correct?
Yes.
And as part of the training that you went through every year, they cover topics, all kinds of uses of force, right?
Yes.
including the things on your duty belt and maybe other options that the department could use additionally. True?
Only the things I was assigned on my duty belt.
Okay. But in any case, that use of force training was a pretty key component of being an officer, right?
Yes.
You were trained about when you could use force, how much force to use, and what would be appropriate force. Fair?
Fair.
And not only were you trained on that, but you had a lot of policy that that dictated what you could and could not do in a particular situation, right?
Yes.
And you were also trained on the readiness aspects of use of force, right? Being ready to engage whatever force might be required, right?
Yes.
Including making decisions under stress, right?
What do you mean?
Well, you had a lot of scenario-based training, right?
Yes.
And in those situations, those scenarios were set up to be as close as they could be to real life, right?
I suppose.
So you would be trained to have to make decisions in the moment about what to do and what force to use, right?
Well, it was a training situation, so it was usually slow and meticulous and controlled.
Well, you did this year after year, right, for the entirety of your career.
26
correct?
years.
I think scenario-based training started later, probably the last 10 or 15 years.
Sure, but
That's
use of
still
force training has been
long-ass
around
time.
for a long time, right?
Yes.
Because since you started as a police officer, you have, in some cases, had to use force. True?
Yes.
And there are limitations on how and when to use that force, right?
Yes.
So you've had training on that throughout your entire career, right?
Yes.
26 years.
And as part of that process, the way that it's required for you to maintain your license is that you sign in and you sign off on attendance forms, and you basically, you have to be there, right? You can't not be there, right?
Right.
And every year you have a certain number of training hours that are required, right?
Yes.
And you said on direct that you participated and you were paying attention during all those trainings, true?
Yes.
And some of those trainings had classroom instruction, PowerPoints, things like that, right?
Yes.
Some of them also included reviewing policies and other documents, right?
Yes.
And then there was also the hands-on training with the practical components, things like using drawing weapons, things like that, right?
Yes.
And over the course of your career, you completed many, many, many hours of training, right?
Yes.
And in terms of credit hours, we're talking somewhere in the ballpark of 1,700 credit hours. Does that sound right?
I don't know the number of hours, but if that's what you have, that would be probably right.
No reason to dispute that your training hours would have been in the thousands of hours over that 26-year career, right?
Yes.
You indicated that there weren't tasers available when you first started at Brooklyn Center. True?
No, they came in the early 2000s.
Okay. But in 1996, you had a firearm, right?
In 1995, yes.
Sorry, 95, and then you were sworn in 96, right?
No, I was sworn in February 27th, 1995.
Okay. So in 95, when you first started, you had a firearm available to you.
Yes.
And you were trained to use that firearm.
Yes.
Trained how to handle it, right?
Yes.
Trained how to load it and unload it.
Yes.
Trained how to draw it,
Yes.
right? And fire it. And how to safely handle it. Yes?
Yes.
And that included when not to fire it, right?
I suppose.
And
I
that
suppose.
training started at the beginning of your career, you said in 95, but continued every year up
She
until the
played
time
that
you
smooth.
resigned, right? Now, you indicated that tasers came later, but you were first trained on using a taser in 2002, correct?
If that's what the documents say, I'm not sure when they came out.
And if the documents say you were trained in 2002, you then would have been trained every year thereafter, right?
Yes.
And you started carrying a taser on your duty belt regularly as of 2005, right?
Yes.
But at a minimum, in addition to all the other training you had, you would have had taser training year after year for at least the last 19 years, right?
Yes.
And the taser training that's required, you saw the documents that were in court, also requires not only it requires review of policy, right? The taser policy, right?
Yes.
And it also requires practicing those reaction side draws, correct?
Sometimes.
All right, if we could put up Exhibit 334, please, the last page. I'm going to put on the screen what's already been admitted as Exhibit 334. And we're going to scroll down to the very last page and highlight the subsection C, please. So, as part of the taser policy includes that all training should include performing reaction hand draws or cross draws to reduce the possibility of accidentally drawing and firing a firearm. That's part of the policy, right?
She
That's
about
what
to
it
pick
says.
this broad apart.
And that's part of what you're trained to do, correct?
We didn't always draw we aren't always drawing our tasers from our holsters. A lot of times we were in plain clothes during training.
Okay. Well, your policy that you're required to abide by, that you signed off on, requires that you perform reaction hand draws. True?
During the training, yes.
It also includes the reason for that, right?
Yes.
And that's so that you reduce the possibility of accidentally drawing and firing a firearm, right?
Yes.
And we can take that down. Part of the reason for that is weapons confusion, right?
Yes.
And that was known in the field and has been known for a number of years. True?
I guess.
Well, you were trained on it, right?
We talked about it.
It was part of your PowerPoints, correct?
Yes.
You were made aware during PowerPoint after PowerPoint after PowerPoint that drawing and firing the wrong weapon can happen, right?
We were told it wasn't something that they expounded on.
You were told that.
Yes.
And you signed documentation every year you were certified acknowledging that you knew the risks, received and reviewed the materials required for you to carry that taser, correct?
Yes, I signed the document.
Okay. Now, in terms of the carrying of these weapons, reaction side means what for you?
That'd be my left hand.
Okay. You're right-handed?
Yes.
So carrying a taser, you have done for years on your left side, correct?
Yes.
And your firearm you carry where?
On my right side.
How many years have you carried your firearm and your taser that way?
My firearm for 26 years and my taser, according to your documents, for 19.
So as long as you've had that taser, you've carried it on your left side, correct?
In the beginning, I carried it on my right side in a drop holster.
And when did you switch?
When we were given new holsters?
And when would that have been?
I don't know.
Okay. But far before 2016, you saw the images that were up in court. Long before that, you were carrying your taser on your left side, correct?
Yes.
Years and years, right?
Yes.
We talked a little bit about reality or scenario-based training. When you go through those trainings, you have available to you all the options that would be on your duty belt, right? Although inert for the purposes of training, right?
Yes.
And the purpose of that training is to try to recreate real life stressful situations as best as possible to practice making those types of decisions in the moment. Fair?
Fair.
Let's talk a little bit about your taser. You'd agree that the Taser 7 that you have and the Taser you had before that have has a safety mechanism on the side of it, right?
Yes.
And you have to flip it up to arm the taser.
Yes.
And when the taser is on and armed, it beeps, right?
I don't know if it beeps.
There's a display screen that turns on.
Yes.
And then there are 2 lasers with the Taser 7 that appear on your target, right?
Yes.
A green one for the top probe, right?
I believe so. It was a new taser.
And a red one for the bottom.
I would guess so, yes.
Well, you were trained on it, right?
Yes, but it was a while back.
Well, you were
Been on.
trained in March of this year on that taser, correct?
Yes.
You have to successfully operate and handle that taser in order to be certified to use it, correct?
Yes.
And you went through that hands-on process of turning on that taser and safely handling that taser in order to be certified, correct?
Yes. In March.
In March. And before that, you had an X26P, correct?
Yes.
And that taser also had a laser and a safety and things like that, right?
Yes.
The screen that turned on.
Yes.
And the taser, and that was the taser that you had been carrying for years before, right?
Yes.
Very similar to the Taser 7 in that way.
Similar but different.
All right, so I'm going to put on the screen next to each other, please, exhibits 210 and exhibit 212. Now, this is a picture, side-by-side pictures of you on April 11th, correct?
Yes.
And your taser is pictured on the left side of your duty belt, correct?
Yes.
And that's the way you've been carrying it for years and years, correct?
Yes.
And your firearm you carried on the right side of your duty belt, right?
Yes.
And you'd agree that the standard procedure for a reaction side, left-hand draw for your taser in this case, would be to draw that weapon with your left hand, correct?
Yes.
All right, you can take that down. You were asked some questions on direct about spark testing, the function test of the taser. The policy says that you should do that before the beginning of every shift, right?
Yes.
And you didn't do it the last 2 shifts that you worked, correct?
That's what the documents say.
Right. You didn't do one for the last 4 of your last 10 shifts that you worked, in fact, correct? That's what the document said.
Which dates?
You didn't do it on March 27th, correct?
I guess.
You didn't do it on March 28th.
Generally object to this cross-examination if she doesn't know.
All right. Okay, one word objections, please. If she doesn't know, she can say she doesn't know.
The documents show that you didn't do a spark test 4 of your last 10
Yeah,
shifts.
unless you
have
don't
no
know
reason
that.
to dispute that, right?
No.
And the day of this incident on April 11th, you didn't do a spark test that day, right?
No. According to the documents.
And even though, that day was a slow and uneventful day at the beginning of the day, right?
I don't know. I don't have a log.
Well, you told Dr. Miller that that day started as a slow and uneventful Sunday, right?
I don't know if I did or not.
Council sidebar.
I'm gonna watch a little bit more of this,
You had
y'all.
Taser 7 that
And
day,
then we're gonna
correct?
get into y'all opinion and
That's what's in this
conclusion.
picture, Exhibit 224.
Yes.
Now, these items look different, don't they?
Yes.
Your Honor's argument is
The objection is overruled. I think you answered. Did you answer? You may answer if you didn't.
Yes.
And just to be more specific, the taser is yellow, right?
Yes.
The firearm is black, correct?
Yes.
The taser weighs about half as much as your loaded Glock, right?
I don't know.
Doesn't weigh the same, correct?
That's what they testified to earlier, but I don't know.
When it comes to the Taser 7 that you had just been certified to use, your department used long-range cartridges for that Taser 7, correct?
I don't know.
You were trained to use it, correct?
I don't know now. I don't remember.
You don't remember being trained to use the Taser 7 at all?
No, I remember being trained, but I don't remember today what cartridges we were issued.
Okay. So you went out on the street with a Taser, not knowing what that Taser did?
I would assume that on the day I worked, I would know, but I don't know. It's been months now.
Okay. No reason to dispute that the Brooklyn Center Police Department used long-range cartridges in the Taser 7, correct?
No.
And the reason to do that would be so that you could fire at a farther distance with your Taser, and you wouldn't need to approach someone up close, correct?
I don't know. I would assume so, but I'm not positive.
Well, that's why someone would use a long-range cartridge as opposed to a short-range cartridge, correct?
Yes.
And you've been trained on Taser since 2002, correct?
Yes.
You know how they work, right?
Yes.
They do. Can we take those down, please, and put up Exhibit 214? Okay, Exhibit 214 that's been admitted is on the screen. Is this a picture of your duty belt?
Yes.
You'd agree that the holsters for your Taser and your firearm are different, correct?
Yes.
And your firearm holster is empty in this picture, right? There's no firearm in it.
Correct.
Is that this right here?
Yes.
The Taser holster is made of plastic, right?
Yes.
You have to push a button, this button right here, and rock it back to get it out of the holster, correct?
Yes.
And your gun holster is made of leather, is that right?
Yes.
And it has a little snap, is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
And how does that gun come out of that holster?
It would rock forward.
How do you pull it with your hand out of your holster?
It would rock forward and you would pull it up.
Okay. And the Taser, on the other hand, you would press the button, rock it backward, and pull it up, correct?
Yes.
Look at her. She knows she fucked. Look at her. She knows she got the bubble guts and all right now.
Now, you testified that you
She know where this shit is going.
have never deployed your Taser or your firearm while on duty out on the street, correct?
Not that I recall. I know for sure my firearm.
Okay. But you have drawn your Taser multiple times while on duty, correct?
Several times.
And you said that you did that as a way to de-escalate. I believe that was your testimony on direct.
Yes.
And approximately how many times did you pull your Taser but not deploy it while on duty?
For de-escalation, maybe a few times.
Now, there are a couple times that you pulled your Taser and didn't deploy it. One was in 2013, correct? No reason to dispute that it happened once in 2013 at least.
I would guess no reason.
There was a situation where one of your colleagues, a former officer, was hanging on the back of an individual, and you pointed the Taser at him, but didn't tase him because you would have tased your fellow officer. Is that right?
If it's the one I'm thinking, yes.
And instead of
She was on his back.
deploying your Taser, you called for extra help, correct?
Yes, and we probably continued to fight with him.
You never deployed your Taser then.
No.
There was another incident in 2016 where someone was not complying with commands to place them under arrest. Right?
I don't know what event you're talking about.
Well, in this case, there was an individual who was
Close my office door,
struggling,
it's
a female
closed.
individual. She didn't want to get in handcuffs, and then one of the officers took her down to the ground by force, correct? And you pointed your taser but didn't deploy it, right?
If that's what the documents say. I don't recall the incident.
Okay. But you recall that you have drawn your taser and not fired it in your 26-year career.
Yes.
All right, I'd like to talk a little bit more about April 11th. So on April 11th, you were serving as an FTO, right?
Yes.
And you said that you have done that for 10 or 15 years.
For many years. I don't remember when I got certified, but it's been many, many years.
Okay. And you said that on direct, I believe your testimony was that you had knowledge to impart and that mentorship skills that made you suited for that job, right?
Yes.
So you were serving as Officer Lucky's FTO on April 11th. How long had you been his FTO?
I believe it would be 5 shifts. It would have started the Monday after Easter Sunday.
Okay. But you were essentially in a supervisory position, right? Serving as his FTO.
Yes, I guided him.
It's a big responsibility, true?
Yes.
You have to be a good example, sort of set the stage for what a good police officer should do in any particular situation, right?
Yes.
And to do the job of an FTO, you have to be really familiar with policy and training and proper uses of force, right?
Yes.
And you have to make sure that someone else is doing it all right too, right?
Correct.
And you testified that morning, the morning of April 11th, you reviewed pursuit policy with Officer Lucky, correct?
That afternoon.
Okay. But that pursuit policy includes not shooting at the driver or occupants of a vehicle, right?
A moving vehicle.
And you told Officer Lucky, we're not in the city, right? Did you tell Dr. Miller that you told Officer Lucky in reviewing pursuit policy, use the phrase, we're not in the city?
Uh-oh.
Because we're on Zane Avenue, which is in Brooklyn Park.
And why did you say that?
To remind him of geographical boundaries.
Uh-huh.
And you were also reminding him of the limitations of the pursuit policy, correct?
What do you mean?
You know
And
she
you
mean.
can't just get into a high-speed car chase or shoot up a car without specific reasons, right?
Yes, for our pursuit policy limits what we can pursue for.
And a gross misdemeanor warrant doesn't qualify for a vehicle pursuit, right?
Not according to our policy.
And you had just reviewed that policy with Officer Lucky that day, correct?
Yes.
Wow, you
So
still
getting
did it?
to what happened
And
with
you
the
still
stop,
did it though.
You said that there was a turn signal misplacement, perhaps. You saw the wrong turn signal. That was the first thing that you saw?
Officer Lucky saw it first.
Okay, so you didn't see the wrong turn signal. But after that, you saw the air freshener, right?
I saw the expired registration.
Well, you had said on direct that you would not have pulled that vehicle over, right?
Probably not.
And you said that you knew that there had been some delays because of COVID with people getting their tabs up to date, right?
Yes.
But you also mentioned the air freshener to counsel on direct, didn't you?
Yes.
But regardless, expired tabs, air freshener, this is the kind of traffic stop that it's pretty routine for you in your 26 years as a cop, right?
No traffic stops routine, but it would have been something I would have done several times.
I'm sure you've seen lots and lots of cars with air fresheners and expired tabs. True?
Yes.
And then the decision was made to pull over the car. You mentioned that there was some information that maybe there was some other warrant that you learned about around that time. You didn't discuss any of that with Officer Lucky, did you?
He would have had the same warrant hit that I would have heard.
None of that was mentioned. None of it was even worth discussing with Officer Lucky at the time you pulled over the car. Fair?
I don't remember if we talked about it or not.
Okay. But in any case, you pull over the car, and Officer Lucky approaches the driver's side, approaches Mr. Wright, right?
Yes.
And he came back to the car with a name, date of birth, all kinds of information, right?
I know a name and a date of birth.
Well, Officer Lucky told you that he believed him. He thought that essentially that Mr. Wright was telling the truth, right?
Yes.
And then when Officer Lucky put in all this information into the system, you corrected him, you admonished him, you told him he was doing it wrong, right?
I told him better ways to do it, probably.
And that's your job as an FTO, right?
Yes.
To correct him if he messes something up, right?
Yes.
So
When there
why
was an
even correct
opportunity.
him on that?
So you
illegal-
corrected him,
well,
and
not
then
illegal,
he
but
re-entered
that
the information, and then
stop. Then
you found out about the warrant, right?
Yes.
Now there was also a conversation about Officer Lucky code 4ing himself, right?
Doing what?
Code 4ing
Oh,
himself.
code foreign. Yes.
And did you also correct Officer Lucky for doing that?
He did it before he ran the driver, and he shouldn't do that.
And you told him that, right?
Yes.
Don't code for yourself before you have all the information. Something to that effect, right?
Yes.
And again, that was your job as the FTO to correct whatever he was doing that was wrong, right?
Yes.
So you got this information and then made this decision to go arrest Mr. Wright, correct?
Yes.
And you didn't talk about going out there with guns drawn or anything like that. You didn't talk about using force on the approach or anything like that, right?
No.
And then Officer Lucky pulled or asked Mr. Wright to get out of the car, which he did, right?
Yes.
And you stood back and watched this happen, correct?
I was just a couple feet away.
Okay.
you watched it. Answer the
You didn't
question.
correct the way that had happened. You didn't tell Officer Lucky to move or to put Mr. Wright somewhere else, right?
I wouldn't do that to a rookie in front of a suspect.
Okay. But you didn't do it regardless. Didn't happen.
No.
"26 years
And
and you've
then
been fucked
as
up in so many
you
ways."
approached, got closer. Well, was there a moment that you got closer after things didn't quite go the way you had hoped they would go?
I got closer before that happened.
Okay. And you'd agree that you unsnapped your gun holster as you approached, right?
No, I wouldn't agree to that.
All right. If we could put on the screen Exhibit 12, just the still image at 2:01:20, please.
Uh-oh.
And zoomed in on, yes.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here we
You see
go.
yourself in that picture,
Yes.
and you see your right hand on the right side of your duty belt.
Yes.
And is your right hand on your firearm here?
It's blurry, but it's possible.
Okay. We can take that down, thank you. All right, so as you approached, and Mr. Wright got out of the car, was there a moment where it appeared that Mr. Wright was going to flee or attempt to flee?
When he started struggling with Officer Lucky.
Okay. And ultimately, was Mr. Wright able to get back in the car?
Yeah.
You never saw a weapon on Mr. Wright, did you?
No.
Never saw a gun.
No.
He never threw a punch, right?
No.
Never kicked anyone.
No.
Never said, I'm going to kill you.
No.
Never said, I'm going to shoot you.
No.
Never said, there's a gun in the car and I'm coming at you.
That lawyer's a cold piece of
No.
work right there, boy.
She really ain't. She ain't
Man,
really saying
I
much.
need her. I need her.
it's not uncommon in your experience to find someone who has a warrant during a traffic stop, right?
It's not uncommon.
And you've done hundreds of traffic stops in your career, correct?
I don't know if hundreds, but yes, I've done plenty of traffic stops.
And gross misdemeanor offenses are not the same as felony offenses. Fair?
Correct. They're different order by the judge. For the
Less
crime.
serious crimes, correct?
All crimes are serious, but yes.
Well, in terms of the laws of the state of Minnesota that you're duty bound to enforce, a gross misdemeanor is a lesser offense than a felony, correct?
Yes.
And you don't get to shoot someone because they have a gross misdemeanor warrant. Correct?
Ooh.
Not for
Your Honor, it depends on the circumstance.
Okay, but the action is sustained.
As the chair,
You also testified about learning about an order for protection, correct?
yes.
You said it was a temporary one that you saw, correct?
I believe it was an ex parte order.
And essentially, the order that you're describing would limit contact between two people, correct?
Yes, in various ways.
It doesn't prohibit all contact with all members of the opposite sex, right?
Just certain parties that they're not supposed to have contact with.
Right. And you'd agree that half the world's population is female, right?
I suppose.
So just having a female passenger in your car is not in and of it and by itself a violation of an OFP, correct?
Uh-oh.
It has to be investigated.
Sure. And you did not see a need to rush up to the passenger side of the vehicle and
Help her.
pull this woman to safety, right?
Nope.
Not at the moment.
Thought you were worried about it. You had to investigate
Now,
if it
there was
was
also
the
some
victim in the alleged warrant.
conversation, as you saw in the videos that were offered in court in this case, conversation about the Wright brothers. You made a comment about the Wright brothers joking about not the ones that fly, right?
Uh-oh.
Yes.
And then any concerns about whether there was some other Wright family in the area. Sergeant Johnson told you not that family, not this situation, right?
I wasn't sure who they were.
Okay. But he didn't cause you any greater, he didn't tell you this is a family we should be concerned about. We got to be worried about this guy, right?
No, he didn't say anything like that.
Okay. And when you got over to that car and Mr. Wright got back into the car was still running, right? It was running that whole time.
I don't know if it was on or not.
Well, you told Dr. Miller that the car was running, didn't you?
I don't remember that.
I bet you don't.
You told Dr. Miller that Wright pulled away and got back into the driver's seat of the car, which was still running.
Okay, then I said that.
She don't like this lawyer. She
And
don't
the
like
entire
her
time
at
this
all.
is happening, you're standing behind Officer Lucky, right?
At what point?
As Mr. Wright is getting back in the car.
I came around Officer Lucky's left side to help him.
And you indicated that Sergeant Johnson had approached on the passenger side, but he wouldn't have been in front of the door because that would have been unsafe, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to put on the screen Exhibit 13, starting at 2:01:48. Just that, if you could just leave it with that time frame, please. Okay, Ms. Potter, on the screen we have Exhibit 13 at 2:01:48. I'm going to slowly advance the frames and then pause it periodically. So let's advance just a bit. Okay, stopping right there. At 2:01:48, do you see yourself here taking a piece of paper in your left hand?
Yes.
All right, now advancing to 2:01:49, please. Okay, now stopping at 20149, you see that you've transferred that piece of paper to your right hand.
It looks like it.
Okay, advance a little further, please.
Uh-oh. Door it up so she can see.
Okay, would you agree that the piece of paper at 20149 is in your right hand?
I don't know where it is.
Is this the piece of paper right here?
Let's see. Yeah, it's a piece of paper.
All right, let's advance a couple more frames, please. Okay,
Yeah,
stopping right there.
so she got
Do you
amnesia.
agree in this frame of 20149 that the piece of paper is in your right hand?
Yes.
All right, and if we could play stopping at 20154, please. Okay.
Still got paper in your
And then
hand.
if we could advance a few frames, please. At this point, the paper is in your right hand, correct?
It appears that way.
And then at 20155, we could stop right there. You've just transferred the paper back to your left hand, correct?
That's what the video shows.
Okay.
Is she crying?
Yeah, because she knows she was reaching for that gun.
Advance a few more
Right.
frames, please.
I know she was crying, though. She was doing good for a minute.
To 20156.
She know this lawyer breaking her shit down. She know it's a problem.
A couple more frames, please. Okay, you'd agree at 20156, the piece of paper is still in your left hand, correct?
Yes.
Okay, let's advance. Actually, let's play until
That's a fake crime.
201, please. Okay, so stopping at 20201. You have the firearm in your right hand, correct? And you are pointing it directly at Mr. Wright, correct?
Excuse me, Eric, we have a break. My client is.
Okay. Miss Potter, do you need?
How long did she hold that gun in her hand and come up? Thought it was a taser.
Anyway, so,
Use that excuse.
okay, members of the jury, we're going to break for lunch,
Oh, yeah.
and we'll start up again at 1:30.
She had to take the safety off.
Man, I bet you do need a lunch.
But you also told Dr. Miller that you don't know why you decided to use her, right?
Wait, hold on. They didn't continue from there? Hold on. Okay, they back. Yep, that's where they started from. Damn, why did she go back to the line of questioning? Or maybe she's going to lead back up to that again. James said she's doing too much. I mean, she might actually
Ms.
be
Potter,
hurt behind the
Before
situation.
we left for
I'm
the
not
break,
going to say she's not
we
hurt
were
by it,
walking through
but
what
that
happened
doesn't
on
justify
April
what she
11th.
did, though.
You'd agree that for a large part of the interaction at the side of the car with Mr. Wright, you were
And that's
standing
why she
behind
got
Officer
charged with what she
Lucky,
got
right?
charged with. Because even if she didn't do it on purpose, it was a mistake.
Right.
Still-
Next to him at some point.
Okay. And you testified on direct that after you saw a scared look in Sergeant Johnson's face, that's why you decided to use the taser? That was your testimony?
Yes.
But you also told Dr. Miller that you don't know why you decided to use the taser, right?
I haven't seen his report.
Would it refresh your recollection to see his report?
Yes, please.
May I approach your honor?
You may.
Did you have a chance to look at that, Ms. Potter?
Yes.
And did you see the portion where it explains when asked by this examiner why she decided to draw her taser, Officer Potter states, "I don't have an answer. My brain said grab the taser." You recall that?
I don't recall it, but it's in his paperwork.
So on April 11th, you reached down and drew your weapon, right?
Yes.
And you said taser, 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 so Officer Lucky and Sergeant Johnson would disengage, right?
Yes.
And they did disengage, didn't they? They let go of Daunte Wright and stepped back.
According to the video.
And after you shot Daunte Wright,
According to the
said,
video.
"Shit, I just shot him. I
This is
grabbed the
this is
wrong
the game
fucking
they
gun
play
and
in
I
the
shot
courts.
him. I'm going to go to prison and I killed a boy." You said all those things, right?
I don't recall.
I don't remember.
I knew it.
If that's what's in the video, that's what you said, right?
That's what's in the video.
Yes.
Oh, finally got it straight. Yes.
You
Okay.
said that there are a lot of things that you don't remember, and that on direct you testified that your memory came back when you saw your husband that day. But didn't you tell Dr. Miller that you remember seeing the gun in your right hand? You said that, right?
I don't know.
I don't remember my interview with him. I was distraught.
I knew it was
Oh
coming.
my
I
god.
ain't mad at you though. Hey, but I ain't mad at her though, cause she fighting for her life, bro. I can't be mad.
After you shot
Like I said,
Daunte Wright,
everybody in the hot seat.
you didn't
does the
behave
same
like
shit, my
someone
nigga.
who had just saved Sergeant Johnson's
Hey,
life.
keep it
did
real,
you?
Inglewood. When we in that hot seat, don't we go in there with the bullshit too, though? That's how you get out this shit,
Hey,
right?
Just
that's
like the
facts.
truck
I
driver
don't
who was
remember.
crying on the
I don't
stands.
remember.
Just like the
Matter of
truck
fact,
driver who was driving on the stands.
Hey,
just
hey,
arguing
hey,
with
Inglewood.
one of you.
Right, I hear you, Vic. Hey, Inglewood.
That you
Hey,
guys
they
are
got
condemning
you.
her for it, but we use it when we want it to be our victim, and you just vice versa it. But
What are you
you
talking
know how
about?
you guys do.
I'm lost. What are you talking about?
I'm saying like with the person who the dude who got in that car accident with the truck driver
Right.
shit, whatever.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna use that same argument against him that you guys are laughing about. That you were trained to use an emergency exit, so why'd you hit and kill them people? They're gonna use that same argument.
But that's not gonna hold as much merit as a police officer in this situation with 26
Yeah,
years
because
of
you're trained to
experience.
do it.
Yeah,
You're
but
trained.
it's not
Period.
gonna hold that amount of merit. It is tragic situations in both events, but they're not gonna look at it in the same light. This is Phil. You still can't ignore the facts that this man's truck had a malfunction. He was not drunk. He was not high. He was not on some road rage type shit. This was still a malfunction. Where this woman we're looking at, she pulled the wrong weapon, whether she did it accidentally or not, and took this young man's life, where his family will never get to see him again. It is not the same.
It is the same. If
No,
you're
it's not.
trained to do something
A truck
to
malfunctioning
help
and you pulling a
people that
lethal weapon
they
is
will
not
not
the
die
same.
in certain situations, and you make an accident, and an accident happens, it doesn't mean you
Vicky,
purposely try to kill them.
in court, they're not going to look at a wrong decision on a turn with a malfunctioned truck as the same merit as you pulled the wrong weapon and took this man's life. They're not going to look at that in the
If
same
you
light.
bypass emergency exits and 4 people end up dead, they're going to use that same argument.
Do you know that?
That you're
Okay, so
trained.
have you ever been in a car accident before?
Yes.
Okay, is it always easy to get out of those situations?
No, in all pressure situations, it's not
hold on.
easy.
When you're going through those situations, are you always level headed? Are you always like you know
I'm always
exactly
what?
what to do? Are you always level headed when these type of situations go wrong?
No one's level-headed underneath pressure.
Right. Let me
No
tell you
one is.
something. Only way your shit will hold merit is if the truck did not have failed brakes, and he for any other reason other than a malfunction killed these people. Then you
But
can
that's not
hold
the
weight with that
argument that they're
comparing it to
winning
this.
off of. The argument they're winning off of is that you're trained regardless of the situation These exist for you to use them, and people won't die, and you bypassed it, killing them
Hey,
people that you were trained to not to kill in
well,
this
I don't want
situation.
to look. I don't want to keep going back and forth between the two cases, man, because we're not on that right now. But I will say this though, and get back on this case. I feel, oh boy, will win this appeal, and he will get out or be
I
cleansed
hope
or
he
whatever
does.
that shit is at some point. But I'm not looking at this situation as the same. No, I'm not.
People don't purposely do shit like that. To spend her life in prison. She knew
Look, look,
exactly when it
this
happened. She
one,
said, "I'm
look,
about to go to
look,
prison."
this woman been doing this shit for 26 motherfucking years. She's
If
pulled
you,
her. Hold on, let me
it don't matter if
finish.
you're doing it for 50.
I'm sure she done pulled her
You'll
weapon
fuck
plenty
up.
of times. I'm sure she done pulled her taser a bunch of times. That's the reason why the lawyer made sure she stood out the fact of how they feel different. They're in different places on the belt, so you can clearly know which one you're grabbing. They're either even pulled out and unfastened totally different. The material on the holster is totally different. It was a reason why
The weight.
lawyer that as well. It was a reason why she pointed all those factors out. You telling me in
Yeah, because
26
that's the
years?
only argument and the most predictable argument that everyone saw coming.
Look,
They're trained.
if I'm wearing a police belt for 26 years every day of my motherfucking career, I
You're
know
never
where
gonna make a
what's
mistake.
at. I'm not saying I would make a mistake. I would make that type of mistake because
Okay, well, for instance,
I would know
me being a
where
program
everything
director with people
is.
with mental illnesses and
I
shit,
would
right?
know
I
where
had to
everything is
train
on my
people,
belt.
my staff, I had to train them on CPI holds for when these people got out of order, right? I just
Okay.
had a new client on my caseload. I trained these people how to do CPI holds. And they were watching me. They called me at 2 a.m. to come over to the house because he was about to fight one of the clients. So he bum rushed me and went over to the other client and was about to hit him. And I hurried up and just tackled him and pinned him to the ground. Completely ignored all my training. I didn't give a fuck. You're not going to touch my fucking clients. If he had hit his head or busted it, would I deserve to go to jail or prison?
If your staff made a mistake and hurt somebody,
No, I made the mistake. I did it. And I was their manager. And I told them. I trained them on how to handle. But he was attacking my client. And I didn't have time for no CPI shit. Fuck that shit.
well, see, look what you're saying. You're saying he was attacking your client. Key word is attack.
No, because I'm still trained on what to do in these situations. I had to CPI hold. I cannot like body drop him to the ground and shit like that. I can't do
Okay.
none of that shit that I would do on
So
the
did you
street.
lose
I
your
can't do
job
it.
for that, or you were just making a scenario? Did you
My
lose
job
your?
had my back.
No, if something would have happened to you, you have a right to defend yourself.
He wasn't attacking me.
He was attacking somebody
He was
else, though,
attacking the
right?
clients who was cussing them out.
Okay, yeah, you still got the right to defend yourself or someone else in that matter. You're the manager.
But I have a way of doing it in a way that we were trained.
Well, if you're trying to do it a certain way and you did it another
That
way,
and the people I was training was
causing,
watching me do it.
and if you did it the opposite way of the way they told you to, and you ended up physically, like really damaging or hurting somebody, you probably would have got brought up in charges. In situations where you're trained to do something a certain way,
Yeah, I would
and
just hope that people will have my back and not think that I did that on purpose.
well, it's not about what people think, it's about what the court be. Like, we can think whatever we want. The court is gonna go by the law, and the law say you are not allowed to do that shit. You're guilty. It ain't about what we think. It's about what. Look, I'm gonna tell you something because I don't know what Vicky's perception is, so I don't want nobody else's perception. Do I think this woman?
What the law is.
Do I think this woman flat out killed this nigga? No. Was it an accident? Yeah, most likely it was. But it's her duty, especially with 26 years of training. This ain't no 1 year. This ain't no 6 months. This is a woman who's went out every day of her life when she was scheduled to. Most police officers do. Hold on. Most police officers do at least a 12 hours. I think they only do 12-hour shifts, if I'm corrected. And so she's been doing it for 26 years to the point to where she's a hostage negotiator. That lets you know what level of a cop she is. She's also out here training. She's also they trust her to train rookies in these situations. And when the time was needed for her to use her authority and her skills, She didn't. Then she further on later on went on with the scenario where she drew the wrong thing and killed this man. She's not on trial for murder. She's on trial for manslaughter. She deserves to go. This man's family will never come get him again. He will never have a life again from what we know. So you don't say, oh, because it was a complete accident, she should just go home. Manslaughter is a lesser charge. She deserved that. But let's continue to listen because there's only a little bit left. Then I'm gonna still let everybody get an open opinion on this topic.
I was very distraught. I just shot somebody. I've never done that.
Well, you never asked Sergeant Johnson if he was okay, right?
I don't remember the conversations.
You didn't check in on him at all, right?
I don't know.
Well, you saw the video when Sergeant Johnson fed you the line, that guy was trying to take off with me. You didn't bite, right? You didn't respond to that at all, did you?
The video, I was crying. I was in shock.
And he was trying to make you feel better, wasn't he?
Exactly what foundation is.
The objection is sustained.
Well, he didn't remember saying it, right? You heard that testimony?
Yes.
And you don't remember him saying that, right?
No.
And you didn't say anything like, thank God I shot that guy and saved your life. You didn't say anything like that, right?
The objection is overruled.
You didn't say that, right?
No.
And you didn't ask Sergeant Johnson anything except to call Chuck, right?
I don't remember what I asked him.
That would be on the video, right?
Yes.
You'd agree that as a police officer, you have the duty to render aid and communicate information to other officers, right?
Yes.
And it's part of your job to assist those who are hurt or injured, true?
Yes.
And to communicate to other officers what you know about a particular scene, right?
Yes.
Give them whatever information you can to help them do their jobs, to help render assistance, things like that, right?
Yes.
But you didn't do any of those things on April 11th, did you?
No.
You're doing your job completely. You didn't communicate what happened over the radio, right?
No.
You didn't make sure any officers knew what you had just done, right?
No.
You didn't run down the street and try to save Daunte Wright's life, did you?
No.
You didn't check on the other car that had been hit, did you?
Oh.
All
Oh
happened
no!
just
Don't
down
start
the road.
crying now. Don't start crying now. No, don't cut that shit out.
Yes.
You were
The
focused
shooting,
on
I can
She was
believe
crying
that.
at
You
the
had
scene. Even worse.
you had killed
I
somebody.
can believe
I'm sorry.
she knew she fucked up.
You gotta say fake tears with everything, but it's
I'm so sorry.
And she knew she messed up at the
Potter.
scene. She was like, I'm going to jail.
Right.
What's your reaction
She
today?
did.
and what makes it even more
Yeah, I
compelling
agree.
is that she
You
wasn't
didn't
even trying to get her story
Plan to
together
use
with the
deadly
other
force
cops.
that day, did
She was
you?
just she just knew she fucked up.
No.
You didn't want to use deadly force, did you?
The other cops trying to get her story together. She's just not listening. She's
I
Objection is
believe she,
overruled.
for everything I love, I don't think she did it
No,
on purpose, but she
Right.
still did
No.
it by mistake.
Because you knew that
And she
deadly
has to pay
force
for that.
was unreasonable and unwarranted in those circumstances.
I didn't want to hurt anybody.
You didn't want to hurt anybody. And you didn't-
No.
Oh,
and that's why you said, I'm going to go to prison.
I don't.
All right. The objection
That's
is
just like, you know how people be fighting and they
Miss Potter, you know
punch
the
somebody and the
difference
person
between
hit the
left and
ground and die. They didn't mean to kill that person. They was having a straight up fight, but the person lost their life. So
the
you're
objection
guilty
is
of
sustained.
manslaughter. You're guilty.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Yeah, this one person I went to school with, he actually shot his best friend in the back of his head.
Do you need
He
a
got like a
I
couple
can't
of
hear
years.
you. Say that again, Vicky. You're a little low.
This one person I went to school with, he shot his friend in the back of the head. His friend was in front of him in the car, and he got a couple of years. He didn't mean to
Yeah, I
do
just
it.
did
He
a.
didn't have a license to carry.
Yesterday I did a story. Remember? Okay, so the sister in the head in the car.
Yeah, I mean,
She on trial right now.
I do not wish like these people like a lot of time. I understand when accidents happen, even the act will fuck somebody up even more than fucking time at times.
Yeah, but what makes it worse though is like I said, the gun and the taser weight comparison, location, the way it's unfastened is totally fucking different. Like totally fucking different.
And she actually
Like
seems
when
like she will be a cool cop and not like she said that she normally don't pull people over for little petty shit like that. So she was probably just gonna run this, be like, hey, when you get a chance, try to schedule something with the DMV or whatever.
she let this rookie
But she
take
She
fall.
found
could
that
get
he had a warrant
probation
out
for
for his
this. She don't have to
arrest.
go away to penitentiary, not for
No,
manslaughter. You
she
can
gonna
get
do some
probation about.
she if she's guilty, she gonna do some prison. But what I'm saying is she let this rookie basically coach her into the situation. Again, I'm not blaming him for her actions, but as his superior, and now we know she was his superior, she should have told him to leave this man alone and none of this shit would have happened. You gotta look at that
Yeah,
negligence too.
that rookie did too
Yeah,
much.
he got her in a situation where she made a bad choice.
She really did not mean to kill that boy. She feel bad. In real life, I believe. Like I believe her punishment already. She receiving it.
The thing is,
Punishment
I don't know if
already.
she feel bad that she did it, or if she feel bad she's
I'm
gonna
just
be
going to ask
punished
you a
for
few
it. But
questions.
I'm wondering.
If she could get away with it, I don't think she would doing all this crime. I honestly think she feels bad
by
that
Zoom
she made the mistake.
with Dr. Miller.
She
A little
looked
bit
like
at
it.
least.
It's both, and then
Yeah,
people are
so
painting
We
out to
had
be like a
a Zoom
racist.
interview, yes.
Okay.
When it happened.
That was Miller in Florida, correct? As far as we know.
Yes.
And you and me were in my office, correct?
Yeah.
The first time that you had ever seen any of the video, correct?
Yes.
And were you able to watch it?
No.
And you did tell Mr. Miller that when Wright pulled away and got back into the driver's seat of the car, which was still running, Potter, that you could observe Johnson and Lucky struggling over the console, and it appeared that Johnson was trying to prevent Wright from putting the car in drive.
Objection, Lee. The objection is overruled.
If you don't remember that, because it was a while ago, I can show it to you and refresh your memory.
I don't remember.
I approach your honor.
don't worry, they're gonna refresh your memory, yo girl.
Read to yourself, Ms. Potter, the last sentence of the second to the last paragraph. Does that refresh your memory as to what you told him?
Yes.
And did you tell him that? Pardon me, I didn't hear you.
If it's in there, I must have. That day is so blurry.
Did you also tell him that you yelled taser, 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 so your partners would disengage?
It's hard to believe.
Disengage from Wright?
Woman with this many years experience.
Yes.
And a hostage negotiator, you gotta be supposed to do that.
Man, you training officers and you don't know which
Would it
weapon you
be
grab. It's hard
routine,
to really believe that though.
thinking back when you're a law enforcement officer for 26 years,
You know where this shit is at.
would it be routine for
All
you
that
to
stuff she
unsnap
could
your
have
holster
did
and
as a
wave
claim
a car?
because they got cameras on. You know what I'm
No.
saying?
And why not?
And she
I'm
knew
only
that if
5'3".
she did
If I would
that
get into a
after
fight,
she
I'd use
shot
my
him,
gun.
like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I can use this in
Did you
court.
ever,
You know, they charge
in
me
your
with it. You know what I'm saying? I get a lesser
career,
charge because I didn't
shoot
mean
your
to do
gun
it.
at
No,
You know,
I don't think she
it can be
is
so many
looking. I don't think
scenarios.
she thought that far
Did you
ahead
ever
of it.
shoot
Though.
your gun in real life during your career?
No.
And did you ever shoot your taser during your career?
It was never deployed.
Is that what it means?
Yes.
And that would be real life. That would be,
Yeah, 20-something years on the force, you ain't never used your
when you
taser?
have to use those weapons.
How many
That's
times have
real
you used
good.
your gun then?
Emergency situation.
If she ain't used her gun, it is.
What would it mean to you?
But if they about
Yeah,
to
that's
say
how
she
it
used
makes
her gun and she ain't never
What
used
would
her
that mean
taser,
to you
yeah,
if
look
you
at
had to
that.
shoot your weapon?
She a good cop if she ain't never used her gun or her taser.
Right.
She probably one of them easy going type of cops.
When you three law enforcement
You better
officers,
go
and
get that gun.
by the way, as far
I
as
don't believe she would
reporting
even pull
this,
Daunte over if it went for the rookie. And I think she
would it
wanted
be
to let
She
him
already
go
Sergeant
said
just
she
let
already
Johnson,
him,
said
your
she wouldn't have.
boss,
you
would
know,
be the
do
one
his
that
little
would be
show off,
required to do
make him
that?
feel like he was somebody.
She already said she wouldn't have did it.
Well,
Well,
rephrase it.
rephrase that. Who would be required, according to policy, to report the shooting? Would it be the shooter or the other person who was in
See, that's
charge?
at 26 years, you know, of being a cop. I ain't gonna pull him over no dog. Everybody got air fresheners
On
hanging up.
that scene, it would have been
Right.
Sergeant Johnson.
Hold on, we almost done.
Because he was your supervisor, correct?
Yes.
Then I got a couple more questions. If you stopped a vehicle in Brooklyn Center and you learned that there was a bench warrant for a weapons violation, you learned that there was a temporary restraining order a female had lodged against the person that said he was in the car that gave his identity, but he really did. Mr. Wright ever give a valid identification for himself?
No.
And the other office, now you've got no valid information. You've got a gross misdemeanor. You got a temporary restraining order.
Uh-oh.
You got marijuana smelled by your partner. You got no license, no insurance. Would you let that car go if you went up to it and were attempting to handcuff the individual and the car, he jumped back in? Would you have thought you should let him go right down the street?
No.
On a temporary restraining order, if you learn there is a temporary restraining order, is it protocol? Is it policy to, as soon as you learn that, jump out of the passenger side, run up to the car and ask the lady what her name was? Has that ever been heard of in police practice that you know of?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. That's all I have, Judge.
Is there any recross?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Potter, you were asked about some statements that you made to Dr. Miller,
The other lawyer.
right?
I believe so.
Yes.
You also told Dr. Miller that you resigned on April 12th to protect your police family, right?
Judge, I object to this good problem. Cross-examination. I never got into that. I just got
Okay,
into one statement.
Your Honor, the statements to Dr.
Yes.
Miller are at issue.
I'm going to overrule the objection. You may answer that.
You told him that, right?
Can you repeat the question?
You told Dr. Miller that you resigned on April 12th to protect your police family, right?
If it's in the report, yes. I haven't seen the report except today.
Well, if it's in the report that you also said that they're very important people to you, would that be accurate?
Yes.
You have a very close relationship with the police officers, other individuals you work with or used to work with at Brooklyn Center, right?
Some of them.
Sergeant Johnson is a good friend of yours.
Judge, I object to this and outside the scope.
The objection is sustained beyond the scope.
You also told Dr. Miller that you don't make mistakes, right? You told him that?
If it's in the report, yes.
And you told him that you don't want to hurt or injure anybody. Right?
Right?
I remember one thing, but not
Mentioned to
the
Dr. Miller your relationship with the
Well, if she don't make
individuals that you
mistakes,
work with,
then you
right?
took the boy on purpose.
That's what they do. You know, she's not going to incriminate herself, play
That was very
stupid to the
important
shit
to
that can
you,
get her in trouble,
right?
and speak on the shit that can help her. That's part of the game.
You advocated for their interests in a lot of settings, didn't you, for the people that you worked with?
I advocate for everybody.
You had a very close relationship with them. You referred to Sergeant Johnson as a rock star, haven't you?
I don't know when I would have done that.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Gray.
hey, divorce court might be next.
In all of your years there as experience in all of
We
the
got
patrols
about
that you
7 more
conducted,
minutes left, y'all. And then we're gonna
did you
try
have to
find
rely on
everybody's
your partners
opinion
for
left.
assistance anytime you did a stop or an investigation of any nature?
It sounds like her
And
and
that would be
Johnson
the
was
family
banging.
of the police department at Brooklyn Center, correct?
Yes.
Hey, is Mr. Little
And they were your
partaking in
second
this
family,
trial?
weren't they?
I definitely want to hear his testimony with his black
As far as
corn ass.
complaints, in the
He
26
the cause
years
of all this
that
shit.
you
His
were a
rookie
police officer,
fucking
did
month,
you
he
ever
done
have
fucked it
one
up for her.
citizen complaint?
Objection, Your Honor, for the scope.
The objection is sustained
I want
beyond
to
the
see what Mr.
scope.
Little got to say.
I have no further questions.
Any further cross?
No, Your Honor.
Matter of fact, let me see if they got him.
You may step down.
Thank you.
That's us.
I hope y'all chilling, smoking on that good. You know I am. Is that the end of it? Did she come down? Yeah. Okay, I like the end of it, y'all. I don't think nobody cared to hear what the judge got to say. All right, so the StreamYard link is about to be put in the chat. The phone number is on the screen. I welcome everybody to call and give their opinion. We're going to start off with the panel. I'm going to let Vicky go last. I know she got a whole lot of shit to say. So let's go ahead and tap in. Well, SL done said the least. SL, what's good with you folks?
Man, chilling, smoking good. Man,
All
hey,
right,
but look,
go ahead. I'm
my
listening.
thing, you know where your left pocket at, right?
Right,
Why?
because I'm right-handed.
But no, but like, well, you know where your left pocket at because you already know your left from right, but you've been wearing pants. You familiar with your pants.
Right, your whole life. Left
So
shoe, right shoe.
that's my thing though. So when she took that paper in her hand and stuff and then switched it, when you switch something, like if I'm going in my pocket and stuff, and I know my keys in my right pocket, then
Right.
I'm gonna switch something in my right hand to my left and then reach up in my right pocket.
No problem.
See what I'm saying? And the fact that
Right.
I don't know, bro, because the fact that she said I don't make mistakes and stuff, the fact that she didn't depend on ambulance first, bro, and she told her them call Chuck, whoever the hell Chuck is,
She
bro.
should
So
be
it
worried
must
about her going to jail like she was screaming.
exactly. You see what she said? She quit because what you call it to protect my police family. That's just what I'm saying. That overall seeing view of the city of
That's
how
the
they.
game. That's the game bank of the police
Come on,
department.
bro. Like I'm just trying to break it down. I
You
know.
protect your own, nigga.
Even let's switch it around. Even to the other side and stuff, how you remember. See, I've been what you call it, like in court before. And I'm gonna
Right.
say the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Even though when I was, accused, allegedly guilty,
Right. You
know what
still
I
gonna
mean?
lie
I'll
to
be
get up
like,
out that
I'll be
motherfucker. You gonna
like, I'm
tell on
gonna be like,
yourself.
I don't know. Do you
Right.
remember saying this? I don't
And
know.
that's the point I was making.
But
It's the
but
same
everything
people,
that was
same
good,
game, just government and
everything
street
that was
niggas. Go ahead.
good, though, bro. Everything that was good, she remembered. Everything that was in her what you call it for her cause and stuff,
Her
she remembered.
favor. Right.
You don't remember calling them a rock star. You don't remember saying I'm gonna quit because of my family. You don't remember
Right.
saying I don't make no mistakes. But then you remember and stuff certain parts when I said you said taser. Yeah, I said that. I said that. But you just said before you didn't remember nothing from the shooting like all the way to the station. So like I'm a little confused out there. I just want to put it in the air though.
Right. That's what I was saying. They run the same game we run. Same game we run. The difference is they supposed to uphold the law and be held to a higher standard than us. But they do the same shit regular niggas do. All right, Miss Laker. Miss Laker, you there? I know she's still on the phone. Miss Laker. I guess we're gonna have to come back to Miss Laker then. I really wanted to do this in order because I know.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, there you go. All right, Miss Laker,
You
what do you
can
think
hear me?
about the overall thing? What's your opinion on this shit? I know your cell phone ain't lagging.
Okay, before today, I thought. You can hear me?
Laker, are you listening to me on the show or are you listening to me on your phone?
I'm listening to you over the phone. You can't hear me?
Yeah, but you acting like you responding to the show though. Go ahead. What you think about the
Huh?
overall thing? Go ahead.
At first, before today, I thought she made a mistake. But when she said she don't make mistakes, that's like the worst thing she could have said. So if you don't make mistakes, how do you expect us to believe that you accidentally shot this boy?
Right.
And then it can go like both ways because she could have been crying because she knew the outcome of what she did.
Mm-hmm.
And like Black Mama said, she could have been scared. The reason why she grabbed the gun, fearing that he might have had something when he kept doing all the sizzling, trying to take off or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But then when she was hollering taser, 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 man, I carry a Glock. Man, if you just can't not mistake that for a gun, for a taser, like I don't see. Look, I've been carrying for 26 years, and I've been carrying for more than 26 years. Okay, but I'm not a cop though. As a cop, this your life, this everything.
Right.
Ain't no way in heck you gonna tell me that you did not know that was your gun.
Right. And that's the
can't.
problem I have with this
Way too
situation.
different. They
A
way too
Glock is heavy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you got to take. Let me tell you, I keep one in the chamber all the time, but you got to take the safety off. Taking the safety off is not the same thing she has to do with her taser. Where those steps that you didn't perform to do, to charge that taser so you can know if you can shoot it. Like you hollering taser, taser, taser. I ain't see you not one time look down to see was it charged for it. You can dap him with it. No, none of that.
Not only that, but if you notice
So-
the taser, you grab it a different direction also.
Right. You
Like
got to reach over to your left side and get
your
it.
gun handle is facing towards your back, and your taser gun is facing forward. So you literally would have to probably. Well, I guess you could grab it with your left. It would be difficult. You would have to reach around with your left hand to pull your taser out. I'm assuming based off how the belt.
Right.
Goes. So if you know you grab something with your right hand and you didn't wrap that left hand around to grab it, you automatically know that's not your fucking taser. That's the reason why both of the hand. That's why both. Right. That's why both of the handles are facing different directions. They're not both facing towards your back direction. So y'all hold on, I'm gonna let y'all come back. Vicky.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, baby girl. Tell us what's your overall opinion on the story.
Okay, first off, her saying that she typically wouldn't even pull people over for nothing minor and shit is very telling that she's probably a cool cop. She's not going to be doing all that extra shit. Her saying that she typically does not discharge her taser and she hasn't really done it at all in her career means that she's typically not about that aggressive shit either.
Well, we
Or
have
the
to verify she
intimidation.
never used her gun. We have to verify she's never used her gun before
By
to
her action,
assume
it
that.
don't look like she ever used the gun.
You said by her action.
Ever pulled the trigger out at somebody. It don't seem like she's ever done that. By
But
her
again, we're
reaction.
assuming though. We're assuming, but go ahead.
By her reaction. The
Right.
instant reaction, not the oh, we got a story together reaction. The instant reaction that she had after that bullet left that
I fucked
chamber
up reaction.
was legit.
I fucked up.
She wasn't trying to be with other cops saying, "Oh, you were just trying to protect me." She was just fucking distraught.
Why?
She wasn't trying to get no story together. I fucked up. And her saying that she doesn't make mistakes in the 26 years that she's been on there, that she typically does not make mistakes, that seems pretty legit because she's never done this before.
Okay, I gotta ask you, do we know she's never made any mistakes as an officer prior?
They would pull it up. It would have been in this case.
Okay. Well, we haven't watched the whole thing though, but I get what you're saying.
So basically, almost everything that she's saying is basically, well, shit, I'm a cool ass cop. I don't really be doing all this shit, and now I'm being painted out as a racist in a murderer for some shit I didn't even mean to do.
Okay. Hold on real quick, Vicky. Folks, you on the line. Welcome to the Hood on Lock. What's good with you?
Hey, Hood, what's good with you, fam?
What's up, folks? What you think about the story, man? I hope you was tuned in.
Yeah, I'm tuned in with you.
For sure.
And, I called in to offer my little 1.5 cents on the situation.
Hey, you more than welcome, folks. Let me hear what you got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to give her the benefit of the doubt. And I really don't want to think that she out here on no racist prejudice shit out here just murdering black men just because she having a bad day or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
However, when I look at the history of, what I know, what happens in LA, I just go back to what happened to Oscar Grant and Meserly, who supposedly mistook his gun for a taser and put it in the back of Oscar Grant up there in Oakland and murdered him. And all he got was time served. So for you to fall back on, I thought I was grabbing my taser and whoopty-whoop. I don't know. I just can't. Like I said, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but if you've been in your job, as long as you've been in your job and you are a trained professional.
Right. Go ahead, folks.
I just can't believe that on that day, out of all the days of your career, that you make the most fatal mistake and the most worst mistake you can make. Right. So that's where I am with it.
Now, let me ask you this, folks. Do you recognize the first mistake that fucked them up in this whole situation? She said the department had notified them, especially during COVID, not to fuck with people, basically, for bullshit ass shit. So she already knew. Now, keep in mind, she was a superior. She let the rookie make the call when she should have said no. Because look, with all these years' experience, you know what's right. You know to take orders. So you knew this wasn't supposed to happen. And for whatever reason, you let this rookie do this. And now you're in a bad situation. So that again, it has to have, and I'm not going to say what level, but it definitely has to have some type of level of responsibility. On that note, you're the superior. You're highly trained. You have specialties in other fields, not just as a police officer, to the point to where you out here training the rookies. So at this point, when you knew this shouldn't have took place, and a lot of officers allow the shit to go, that's why this type of things happen. Why not use your superior and say, no, we're instructed not to do this. Leave this man alone.
Yeah, you got a point. Hood.
When do officers are not supposed to follow their instructions? Their superiors.
Yeah.
If they say don't arrest no dope dealers, you ain't supposed to arrest no dope dealers. Now I know damn well they're not gonna say that, but I'm just saying. An order is an order, right?
Exactly.
So,
especially during that time, everything was shut down. The courts, the You know, they wasn't really running. You know, they wasn't really tripping too hard on expired tags, or it wasn't
None of that,
supposed
my
to. That
nigga.
was the order that was given.
Right.
So I don't understand why she go out of protocol, which was already happening, to. So that's what I'm saying. I can't. I think
that would make. That's what's stopping. I believe all those factors is what's stopping people from really believing this was 100% accident. Like, I don't even know how to put it. Like, I don't even know if this makes sense though. I believe it was a certain percentage accident, forced by a little racism, if that makes sense. I don't know how to put it, because it's like, I don't think she wanted to kill this dude, but she damn sure, I guess, was fucking with him, wanted to fuck with him. I don't know how to put it. Like, I don't want to say this woman just flat out.
I put it like this. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's implicit bias, meaning when she see a black, when she saw Daunte, a black man, and as opposed to a white man, she's gonna automatically racially profile him.
Right. Because she said she wouldn't have normally did it.
Even if she don't realize she's doing it.
Right.
Yeah, even if she don't realize she's doing it, just like the sheriff, how they do out here. If I'm driving down Crenshaw, or I'm driving down Imperial or Prairie or somewhere, and the sheriff see me, they're going to immediately be on me. No questions asked. It's just implicit bias. This is racist bias. So we don't get that pass that white folks get.
But that's what hurt her, though, when she said, I wouldn't have normally did this. So if you're training a rookie, why would you do it then?
Because you had to train them.
No, you don't train them. You don't train them on doing something they was instructed not to do. That's retarded.
No, you still had, just because it was COVID.
I mean,
you had not do it as much.
No, COVID ain't the reason. You was instructed by your superior. No,
listen. It's the instruction.
Look, if I can sit here and say I wouldn't have normally did it, why would I do it with a rookie?
So they can be trained on how to do it.
I'm teaching the rookie bad instructions. If we've been advised not to do it, he's going to have to wait until we're able or advised to do it to get that experience.
It wasn't saying to not do it at all. That's not the protocol. Just because it was COVID, you can't do it at all. That was not as much.
Look, the woman testified that she normally wouldn't have did it. And I get you saying, oh, she's trying to train him, but nah, this wasn't about no training.
She would have let them off with a warning, but found out he had a warrant.
And you know, it's not beyond the fact that she could have been having a bad day.
What?
That could have been a possibility, because I know people that work at Walmart that had a bad day. Customer service suck when motherfuckers go to work mad at they nigga.
This wasn't no innocent boy, by the way. He did put a gun to someone's head.
We don't care what he did to somebody. We don't care what he did to
somebody. Look, get too that she, even if she didn't remember where her structure is.
For sure, Carl. I appreciate it, man. Tap in with me. Go ahead, SL.
Man, if she didn't even remember where her stuff was, then she had proper training yearly. Yearly. And you see what she said, what you call it, when they was saying how to operate your.
That's all good. I know. Go ahead, SL.
Yeah, that like how you put your stuff.
Hold on, Miss Laker. Hold on, Miss Laker. Hold on. Go ahead, SL.
No, like how you operate your certain equipment and stuff, and how you supposed to use it, and when you not supposed to use it and stuff. She didn't even remember the training, bro. Look, it's been like 2 years. I did forklifting before. I still remember all the training in forklift, and we only took it once a year. You know what I'm saying? You doing it, man, continually for 20-something years and stuff like that. And you mean to tell me you don't even remember all the protocol and stuff like that? That means you weren't taking the training seriously. Y'all just signing these cops off on training and stuff, just reviewing it on the overhead and stuff, and just letting them pass, and without them testing them or seeing if they remember stuff or anything like that. Y'all just doing it just to say y'all did it or whatever, but they not acting it out the way they supposed to be acting it out.
So is that your argument, because she had training and she's trained to do this, that she's not going to make a mistake? Is that your argument?
No, I was really more on the fact that they don't even take the training seriously. So, like, what you call it? We could skip the training and everything like that. It almost.
I feel like she probably did take it seriously. If it's 26 years and she's never had to pull out her taser or do none of that shit or be extra, then she probably did take the training seriously.
So
If
just
you
because
can be
you
a cop for
haven't,
26
just
years
because you haven't
and
confronted
not
something,
really harm anybody,
wait,
you're
hold
doing
on,
a
hold
pretty good job.
if you just did, if you don't come and confront, and if you don't come in between a certain situation, that means you're not supposed to take training seriously. What happened when it actually do happen? Because they have it there for
She
a
has
reason.
been in intense
Have it, no, look, let
situations
me tell you something.
before
Let me
and
tell
did
you
not
something.
use brutal force.
Hold on, Big. Let me tell you something. The thing is, you know why the whole reason why they came up with that training?
Why? You tell me.
Because people was getting killed like that. They didn't start doing that training until like 10 years, for like 10
Because
years.
people are accidentally getting killed.
No, 19. What they say, 19? That
Well,
taser
no,
training.
yeah, that's when the taser came in. She said.
Because
Yeah,
people were
but they've been doing that
because
safety training every
accidents like
year
that
prior
happen.
to
Yeah.
that.
Because accidents like that happen, yes. And they had to
So
start cracking down
that's
on
what I'm
training.
saying. Okay,
That does
look,
not
knowing
mean
that
that it will
accident.
never happen again.
Okay, look, Vic, knowing that accidents happen like that, you're not supposed to take the training seriously.
What I'm saying is, just because you're trained in something, just because I was trained in something, does not mean that I'm not going to fuck up. That's a very dangerous way of thinking. And if you're going to think like that, you need to apply it to everyone, not just the
Well,
people you
look,
wanted to apply
in
to.
that case, they need to take guns from police officers because we only get one life and we ain't got time to know, I'm sorry, I made a mistake with people's lives. I don't see why it's so hard to understand that this woman took this man's life for no fucking reason and she deserves whatever the fuck she
Okay, and
gets.
he
How
paralyzed
how
someone
how
for
how is you
life for
you're
no
you're
fucking
you're
reason.
too you're too busy trying to worry about his ex-girlfriend or his girlfriend. This is not
No,
the
the little
topic
boy
of.
that he shot. That's what
Okay,
I'm worried about.
none of that is dealing with this
It's
case.
relevant
This is
because
this
black people
is
don't care
not the
about that.
case. Go ahead, Miss Laker, man. I ain't got time to be arguing over some irrelevant shit. Go ahead, Miss Laker.
Listen, we not saying that she did make no mistake or it was an accident or whatever. That's why she is being charged with manslaughter and not aggravated murder or what is it, aggravated murder and what else murder she can be charged with. She's not being charged with involuntary manslaughter and she's not being charged with plain murder in the second degree. She's not being charged with none of that other stuff. She's being charged with manslaughter. She killed somebody by accident, not intentional, and she's guilty of that. Okay, now, and she don't have to go away from jail for that crime. But let's just do this though. If that person would not have been black, which we don't say have seen plenty of cases where people of the other race does not our color. I don't want to be other race.
I'll debunk that easily.
Guns, knives, and everything on the cops, and they raffle them down, negotiate with them, and all that stuff. Don't even pull their weapons out, Harley. You know what I'm saying? So
No. More
that
white
she,
people get killed by
because
cops. Look it
of
up.
his race and stuff like that, they quick to pull their guns on us.
Can
You
you
know
hear
what I'm saying? No matter what,
Can-
it's people that be business people that got done wrong by the police, and they business people, presidents of companies and stuff, just because of the color of their skin. So let's just say that if he would not have been black, I don't even think the gun would have came out or a freaking taser.
Well,
You know
Just
what I'm
look it
saying?
up on YouTube.
if
Just
we
look it
give
up.
if we give this woman a pass on this shit, then that means any officer.
Then they go on start
I
saying they
mean,
do it
any
on
officer
purpose.
can kill any of us or our loved ones, and all they gotta do is say, "Oops, I'm sorry, I grabbed the wrong damn thing." Hell no. I love
Right.
my life and I
And
love
then
everybody else's life too much to give a motherfucker a pass, even if it was an accident and she grabbed the wrong thing. I don't give a fuck. You killed this man. Your ass deserves something, and whatever they decide to give your ass, I hope it's worth that man's fucking life, accident or not.
And then look at this. Y'all want to, she want to keep bringing up about that he had that warrant for what he did with his girlfriend. You're not guilty. You can't be guilty. You got to be, what is it? How that little saying go? You innocent until proven guilty. He was never found guilty of that crime, okay, or whatever she said she done. How many women make false reports on men? Let's just say that. You know what I'm saying? So
We ain't gotta
because
use that case. We can
you
use the one of
cannot
the
bring
16-year-old
in
paralyzed
nothing about
boy.
his background
His
in
friend that he
court. Well,
paralyzed.
he did this, he did that. That's the reason why I got the gun, because he had a warrant for this. Well, he hadn't been charged of it, and he had not been convicted of it. So that does not matter. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
not his girlfriend.
What
Can
they
you
put
hear
them
me?
on for,
Yeah, I can hear
anything
you.
regarding a gun or whatever, it's for air freshener hanging up from the mirror.
Can you hear
But
me?
point
Yeah, I
blank,
can hear
whether
you
she
loud
did
and
it
clear.
on purpose or not, she committed manslaughter. And if that's just like saying, okay, like there was one daddy who left a gun in the house and the 2-year-old shot his mom and took on Zoom. He being charged for that murder. He was not there. He didn't get a 2-year-old a gun. He didn't tell the 2-year-old to pull the trigger. But he being charged with it because of his negligence. Somebody lost their life, and because of her negligence, she killed someone. You're guilty of that. You have to be punished for that. Can we all just walk around until we kill someone? Oh, I meant to shoot you in the leg and the toe. I didn't mean to kill you. You know what I'm saying? No, you can't do that. She's guilty.
The little boy that just shot that school shooting, his parents are now being charged for, I guess, negligent on him having a gun and doing the
Well,
shit he do. You gotta be responsible. See, it's different if you are in a car accident and it malfunctions and you just pulling the wrong weapon. You are put in an authority in a position of power and trust. And people are supposed to be able to trust that you are not going to execute them on accident. There's no
yeah,
excuse for
I.
that.
Well,
So
my thing
if you
is,
Right.
do that, you have to pay.
my thing is, when
And then
he
just
Hold
like
on,
that
Miss
show
Laker.
you
hold
Hold
on,
had
on.
Miss
the
Hold
other
Laker,
on. Hold on,
day.
Miss
bring
Laker.
up,
Hold on.
hold on.
Hold on. Hold
My
on, Miss
thing
Laker.
is, he deliberately pulled a gun out on a 16-year-old boy and left him paralyzed for life.
You fucked up.
Deliberate. No debate on it. It actually happened. He did that
Okay, that's fucked up.
deliberately, and we got more sympathy for someone who accidentally killed him. We got more sympathy for.
Who said anybody saluting or had sympathy about him killing some little boy or hurting a little boy? Where you get that from?
No one cares about that. No one cares about the victims of these people. We care
This is
about the
this is actually
accident,
the first
and
time I've
we're
heard
debating the
of the little
accident.
boy being hurt by him. I didn't even. So why wasn't there a warrant out for his arrest for that?
It was already in 2019. They already went to court for it. He
What
got
she
mad
said
because
happened? He
he
had
lost
a warrant for what?
in a
What
fight
happened?
with
He
his
did
friend.
what?
He came
Hold
back
on,
with
hold
a
on. I'm trying to
gun
find
and
out.
shot a 16-year-old boy
Okay, so how's he out free now if he murdered this or shot this little boy? How's he
because our
home
justice system ain't shit. You know,
3 years
my friend
later?
got shot by a black man and he got out.
So he got 3 years for shooting a 6-year-old boy. You saying?
Yeah, it happens all the
Oh,
time. The person who
okay.
shot my friend barely got any time. I think
Hold
he got a
on,
month.
hold on. She, Miss Laker. I don't know if you hear the show. She said the same victim that we talking about, Daunte Wright, shot a 6-year-old boy in 2019 because he got mad about something, and he only served 3 years for that.
Dante shot and killed somebody?
Shot either shot and killed or
Yeah,
wounded a 16-year-old
shot
boy,
a
and she said
16-year-old
in
Caleb Livingston.
2019, and he was out. He's out obviously in 21 or 20 when this happened. So obviously he only got a couple of
Oh,
years, or he got no time for it. I don't know. I've never heard of this shooting of a little boy.
I didn't hear her say that. I didn't hear them say that in the car that he was
The
guilty of murder
Yeah,
already.
have you
Caleb
heard?
I didn't hear.
Livingston, it's not murder. He left him paralyzed.
Yeah,
Caleb
he's
Livingston
I
is
hadn't
his
paralyzed.
heard
name.
that.
May 14, 2019, he
But
shot him
but
and
anyway,
he's paralyzed
just like
and
listen, that
disabled
show
for
you
life.
had the other day where that man came down the street talking
I'm
about,
not
oh,
looking
this
now
my
because I ain't
street,
never
this
heard of
my
that.
huh?
What you say, like an also Vicky? I gotta look into that. I've never heard of him shooting this. But even if he did, and that's fucked up, that still don't give the police the right to execute him for no reason. I don't care what he's done in his past. Everybody gets a fair trial. Everybody has the right to, I guess, be arrested if you want to consider that. Nobody has the right to be executed by police for no reason. So you can bring up his past. You can say he killed 30 people and left their bodies in the house. Yeah, that's fucked up. Yeah, that's not right. But at the end of the day, he was executed for no reason. That's like saying, okay, you decided to go rob a liquor store for some money. Police pull you over. You ain't violent or nothing, but they decided to shoot you. Well, because you stole out the stove, that means they got the right to execute you, and you wasn't resisting. You wasn't a threat. No, it doesn't mean that. That means they supposed to arrest you, like they do some of these crazy ass white folks, and put you in jail peacefully. Stop by Burger King, buy you something to eat, give you a couple of Newports and a soda, and then take you to jail.
Is it a normal act for? Would you choke out girls and put a gun to their head and rob them? Is that something you would typically do?
No, why would somebody typically do some shit like that?
Is that kind of crazy?
That is crazy. Ain't no kind to it.
Are those kind of crazy people who will do some shit like that?
Well, you confusing me now. What are you trying to say? I just said they crazy if they do shit like
Yeah,
that.
I'm just saying the people that we are so, passionate about would not have an issue putting a bullet in our heads.
Okay.
And that's weird.
Well, see, you're looking at the wrong issue. See, you thinking this is strictly about Daunte Wright. It is, but it's also about police injustice. And you're looking at it from one point of view. This is not 100% fight for just Daunte Wright. This has been a long fight with the police over killing us over bullshit. And this is just another example. Again, no matter what this man has done, even if everything you said was true, even if you did all the things you said he did, the police don't have the right to kill you if you are not a threat to nobody at the time of conflict or at the time of arrest or at the time of a stop. Unless you are a threat, that's United States law to the police or someone else. They are not authorized to kill or use lethal force. That's the reason why they have other options available. If you are afraid and there's other officers on the scene, step your ass to the back and let the other officers deal with it. You don't have to be a factor. You don't have to be Superman or Superwoman. If you're afraid or you fearing about what's going on, step back, watch your fellow officers back, make sure nobody else is approaching or invading the scene. There's other positions like with a football and a basketball team she could have played. That man had no weapon. He was not reaching for nothing. He deserved not to be killed regardless of his past. And I'm sorry, kill a motherfucker because you're afraid is not a justified killing. Like I said, if you feel like she said, she could have stood by her car. She could have stood at the back of the car.
Yeah, I don't feel like
there was at least two other officers.
The man who killed his daughter, I don't feel like he did it on purpose at all. And I do feel like people deserve to have a little time. And he did a little time for it. The person I know who shot his friend, he did a little time. At the end of the day, I don't feel like these people purposely did that. And they shouldn't be made out to be monsters or racist or it's like an agenda or type of it's none of that.
Well, like I said,
people don't mean to do that shit.
I can't agree that in 26 years you wearing the same belt every day with these same devices on it. 26 years. You training
and you managed
people,
not to kill anyone.
And you managed to grab the wrong thing at the wrong time that feels different in a different position. And keep in mind, these items do not switch on your belt. They stay in the same position. Every officer has them in the same position because they know the longer you have this belt, you should know
How
where
often
these
do you
items
drive?
are.
How often do you drive?
I drive every day.
Is it too far-fetched to believe that one day you might go through a red light by accident because you weren't paying attention, or you
Right.
it's hard? Is it too hard to believe that even though you drive every single day that you might fuck up?
Right.
But if I get
I've done that plenty of times, ran a stop sign and didn't see like, oh
But
shoot, I brought too late.
you're trying
But
to
that
compare
ain't the
two
same as
scenarios.
killing
At the same,
somebody.
yeah, I was about to
That's
say
not
that.
the same.
It's not the same. Now, put it like this. If you want to compare the two, I can remember back in the day when we had pagers and we had cell phones. I knew exactly where each item was at. If I wanted to grab my pager, I can grab it. If I wanted to grab my cell phone, I can grab my cell phone. Now, one time did I grab the wrong thing at the wrong time. And that's with no training. That's with no drilling. That's just on me just putting my shit on my belt the same way every day. My pager was always closer to my pocket and my phone was right behind it every time.
Is it far-fetched to believe that you might pull the opposite one out?
I just told you I never did it. When I wanted my pager,
is it
I
too
knew where to
far-fetched
grab.
to believe that you might do it? That it might happen?
Anything's possible.
Right.
But why do you think the police have these devices in the order they have them, and they actually have the handle of each item? Hey, you guys, I want everybody to envision this, right? Remember the belt. Your taser is facing towards your pocket, and your gun is facing, the handle is facing towards your back pocket, right? So, if you was to grab your taser with your right hand, you would be grabbing it.
It's
It would
gonna
it would,
push
it would feel
forward.
funny. It would feel funny because you have to somehow get it out and then
It's
turn it
awkward.
around. Yeah, it's awkward. You have to turn it around to get it in a normal shoot position. And the reason why they did
And
that,
turn it on the
the
activate.
reason why they did that, because you're supposed to be trained that your right hand grabs gun, left hand grabs taser.
I don't know. All I
It,
gotta
it,
Do
it,
say,
you carry a
it, it's
gun?
all
very
I gotta
simple.
say,
Have you ever shot a gun before?
For me,
No. What's her name?
oh
That's up here.
Vicky,
yeah,
Is it
I
Vic?
shot
Who's that?
she said
ARs, I
yeah.
Yeah,
shot
Vicky, you ever carried a
pistols,
gun?
Glocks, all that.
She
Yeah.
said she shot all kind of shit.
Has she?
Yes.
She carried a gun before and shot one before?
She said yeah. She shot all kind of stuff. She named.
Okay, because I can't hear. Okay, if you done that, if you keep a bullet in the chamber, let me tell you something. One thing you make sure all the time is that safety is on, because you don't want to accidentally shoot yourself in the foot or just accidentally shoot anybody by mistake or whatever. So when you grab that gun, and they keep their safeties on, okay? And if I'm mistaken, I think they even got a fastener on the holster which hold the gun in place. If I'm mistaken.
They got
So
fasteners
you
on
gotta
both.
unstrap, huh?
They got fasteners, and you got to pull the gun. She said you got to push it forward and still pull it up out the case. But hold on, before we even go into the point of the safety and all that, rewind. Again, the belt is set up a certain way for a reason. Why you think that your taser gun handle is not facing towards your back pocket like your gun? That's to avoid you from forgetting which one you grabbing. You feel me? If both of your taser and gun handles are facing your back pocket, now you can easily grab the wrong one. Because when you're grabbing them the same way, right? That's the reason why they turn that taser backwards on your right side if you're right-handed. So you're trained left hand taser, right hand gun. So if you grab anything with your right hand, you know that's not the taser. You have to reach around your waist with your left hand and pull your taser out. That's why they make sure both of the handles on both weapons are opposite to avoid that confusion. So
Yeah.
off top, I'm not even a police officer. I
And you
know if I grab anything,
training
if
on
I
it,
grab
y'all have
anything with my right
refresher
hand,
courses and
it's a.
everything.
If I grab anything that feel like a gun in my right hand, I know that's a gun. Why? Because the handle's not backwards. If I can grab it with ease and ready to fire, that's a gun. It's in
Even
perfect
with
position.
the Alec Baldwin situation, I don't think at all that he meant to kill that lady. But he has had training. He has admitted that he's had over 30 years of training on how to use prop guns on the set, and he fucked up.
But hold on. Now I don't know the details of that case, and I don't like to jump in cases. But did somebody hand him that gun?
But regardless, he's had training and he knows he's supposed to
Wait,
check that before he
no.
do it.
Not as an
Regardless, and
actor.
it wasn't
As an actor, you supposed
the
to have
armorer who
training.
handed him the gun. It was a director.
Yeah, his fault. The
No,
dude that no,
anywhere in
hold
America, you know
on,
you're supposed to check
hold
the
on.
chamber.
If I'm coming to a movie set that requires me to use prop guns, the producer or the person that makes the prop guns or whoever hands the actor this motherfucking weapon, it's their responsibility. I'm an actor. All I'm supposed to come here to do is do my
No,
lines and act. No, for real. Now hold on. Hell no. My job as an actor is to come here and act and do my roles, not inspect and check guns. How you even now in this scenario? You say he had experience, but look at a scenario where somebody who don't have guns, you don't if you don't hire actors to come shoot action movies.
it was his
And
movie set.
that's not what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
He had an armorer there.
If you are acting as an actor, I know because I've been on these environments. I've actually did jobs on actual film sets. When them actors come on set, you are taken care of from the beginning. You get there all the way till you act. When I've seen, okay, for example, I worked on Swordfish. Swordfish was a movie with John Travolta. For those that saw it, um, he basically held a bank full of people with his bomb money. Who else was in Halle Berry? All that. When they come on scene, right, to do the shooting scene, I was downtown LA doing the shooting scene when they did it. John Travolta was given these two prop guns. He didn't check shit. That is not his job. His job, most actors don't even think these guns are real. They're supposed to be designed not to be real and shoot real bullets.
He was
That's the
out on he was on the set shooting the live guns for fun before he went
okay.
in there.
But then you
He
said
knows
somebody came
from
and gave him the
practice
gun and told
that
him this
he
was
is
the prop.
supposed to, in his description that he signed off on, that he said that he will do in the armor check, you're supposed to check it as well. It's your movie set. You know this.
It's his
You hire
production.
the armor.
You saying it's his production company, or is he just a hired actor?
No, it was his movie. It was it's his production period.
Oh, okay, yeah,
He's the one who
yeah.
was holding the gun.
Well, he's definitely
He hired an
responsible
armorer.
then. Yeah, he's responsible because he's a production owner. But if you was just a hired actor, it's not your job to inspect no weapons on no scene. Your
It is.
job is
That's
to come
how
there.
they haven't had any incidents since that one
Look,
person,
Vicky, if I hire
Steve's
you,
son.
Vicky, if I hire you for an action movie, baby girl, it's not your job to check the weapons I give you on scene. Only thing you gonna look to see if the motherfucker work for the movie. Other than that, it's not your job to check and see.
A
You
real
are
weapon?
actor. No, not a real weapon. We're talking about on a movie scene. You gotta realize that.
Fake weapons, not
Yeah,
real
that's what I'm
ones.
saying, and I'm sure on this scene they have both, right? The fake ones
No,
for the
just real
movie.
ones. They only use real ones. He wanted real guns.
Well, that was just a negligent. That nigga was just stupid. Why would you use real guns in a movie prop? That's just fucking dumb. Anyway, I don't want
It's
to
more
jump over that.
realistic.
We probably could talk about that some other time. That shit's just stupid. I don't know the details of that, and that shit just if that's what's really happened, that was just dumb negligent. Like most movies don't use real guns, so that's probably why that shit happened. Anyway, though, y'all. Yeah, we pretty much done with this shit, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and
We
let
on here
everybody
for
get their
3 hours.
I know. That's cause but most of it I know it was content though, so I don't mind. I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody get their opinion like one last time before we get up out of here. Miss Laker, since I got you on the phone, go ahead and give your final thoughts on the case. Come back to me, Miss Laker. Where you at?
I just feel like even if she didn't do it on purpose and it was a mistake, she still has to pay for it. She took a child away from their mother and a father away from a son. So, you know,
I got before you go, Miss
you can't do
Laker.
that.
Let me
That's
ask
the
you.
law.
Let me ask you before you go. If he was a bad person in real life, he's done a lot of things that Vicky has brought up and some. Does he still deserve to lose his life when he wasn't a threat at the time of engagement with the police? Y'all give her a minute. Come to the phone, Miss Laker. Stop watching the show.
I'm not. I was talking to somebody. What'd you say now?
I said now, if he was a bad person and done all the things that Vicky had mentioned and some, and he was just a fucked up individual, rapist and all, do he still deserve to be killed by the police if he wasn't a threat to nobody at the time of incident?
Did he pay for the crime he committed?
Regardless if he did or didn't, does he deserve to die if he
No,
wasn't
I'm
a threat
saying we
to?
don't hold something against somebody like
No.
some people
We don't.
change or whatever.
No. I just want to get final thought
But no,
though.
he didn't deserve to
Hear me
die.
out.
No
Even if
matter what he did, he didn't deserve to die at
yeah,
the
even if he
accident.
did it, yeah, even if he did it, do he deserve to have his life taken if he wasn't a threat at the time of arrest?
No, he don't.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Laker. I appreciate you tapping in. You always welcome at the Hood on Lock, and I hope to see you next show. Okay.
All right, man.
Appreciate you
See everybody.
for sure.
Bye.
SL. You know she watching the show. She can hear you,
Yep.
Vic. Go ahead, give us your final thoughts on everything, bro.
Not just, what I mean? At the end of the day, whether you do it or how you do it, you know what I mean? What the situation is, the law is the law, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? We got to stop being so passive and stuff like that, Everybody held accountable for certain things and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I know a certain situation is messed up, but, we need to hold everybody accountable, for what they doing and stuff like that, regardless if it was an accident or whatever. Because if we just let this thing pass like this, then how's the other people that if it happened again, hopefully it don't, but if it happened again, you know what I mean? What kind of punishment do they get? You know what I
Right. It
mean?
could be you or your loved one next time, and we trying to avoid this shit.
Because every time we make a case, you know what I mean? That's what them lawyers bring up. You know what I mean? Other cases and stuff like that. So we building a pattern. You know what I mean? So if we start holding people accountable and stuff, that pattern will be set in stone.
We don't get no pass when we fuck up like that. Even if it was an accident, we get no fucking
But
pass. And don't take my life on no oops. You got me fucked up.
even with that being said though, you know, even though if I go out there and do what I do, you know what I mean? I already know with the mindset that I'm being held accountable at the end of the day.
Right. Well, I said I definitely appreciate you chopping in, folks. You definitely welcome over here, and I hope to hear from you next show, Pittman.
Rest till next time, bro.
For sure, West. My crazy, crazy Vicky. Come on, baby girl. Go ahead and give us your final thoughts on this. Everybody got to do something when I ask them their final thoughts.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, first off, if someone does a crime, I do believe that they should be penalized for it. Just like the person who accidentally shot their friend that I know and stuff. He got a couple of years, And just like well, I really hope the person who shot my friend, I hope an officer one day mistakes their taser for their Glock and puts a bullet in them.
Oh my
But
God.
because I do believe that, people who are doing these outrageous, crazy things to people, he has tried to solicit people into his car, do tons of things. I believe that you got karma coming your way. I don't know how it's going to hit you, but one day it's going to hit you and you're going to pay.
Baby, you
And
got some shit going on over there, baby. God damn.
what the fuck
Come here
is.
so I can give you a hug, Vicky. Like you going through some shit. God damn.
You're stupid.
I might have to actually bring you to Cali though. You really got some shit you going through. You need a big old hug from a nigga for real.
Fly
Man,
me out.
I might though. Don't tempt me. Go ahead and give your final thoughts though, so I can get your crazy ass up out of here.
I don't think she did it on purpose, and I don't agree with the people who are trying to make her out to be a monster. She did it on accident. She should get
Okay,
a couple years or whatever,
that's normally
for
what they get
and
on a manslaughter. So, do you agree manslaughter is a good charge, or you think that's still too harsh?
yeah, manslaughter. I mean, the dude who shot his friend, it was an accident. We all know it was an accident. We all know he didn't mean to shoot him,
Vicky, let's
and
stick
it's the
stick on the
same with
topic.
other situations. It's the same.
No, you
We know
can't
you
always
didn't mean to shoot
compare
him.
everything to everything, but in this situation, do you feel like that manslaughter is a good charge for this?
Yeah, she didn't mean to do that.
Mm.
And first degree murder, people have to understand that has to be like premeditated. This is not first degree murder.
Well,
That sounds
she's
ridiculous
not
when you
being
gotta say
charged
that.
with that, and I don't think nobody accused
They
her
was
of
in the
that.
comments saying that.
Oh, okay, my bad. Well, I didn't see that. But I definitely appreciate you tapping in with your crazy ass, and you be safe. And if you need me, you know to hit me. All right.
All right.
All right. Salute to everybody in the chat. Everybody that's been rocking with me tonight. Miss Laker, Bradley, James, Atlanta Black Mamba, Miss Howard, Lynette, Bradley. I think I already said your name. Got two shots out. My nigga SLG Wayne. I can't pronounce that bullshit. Anybody else? Vicky, because yeah, just got off the scene. Hold on, son. I'm almost done. Okay, just give me a second. Um, man, just shout out to everybody that's been watching. Man, I appreciate your tapping to this content. I'm looking to update you guys on a couple of stories I've done once I get more information. But until then, I don't clout chase. I'm gonna keep y'all informed on real street shit, y'all. I definitely want to see if there's something about Mr. Little, the other wiki officer that was involved in this. I'm gonna definitely look up into that to see if I can find something on that nigga. Cause he really led to a lot of this unnecessary shit. And to find out he was a black dude, I ain't gonna lie, that fucked me up. Like he was on some Uncle Tom shit. But I appreciate everybody watching. Make sure y'all send me with the tip jar on your way out. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Show the hood some love. I am Sincere Official, and as always, I'd like to welcome you motherfuckers to the Hood on Lock. I'll see y'all motherfuckers next time. Peace. Hold up. Son, listen, I told you, hold on one second. Hold up, y'all. I almost forgot something. Don't leave yet, y'all. Hold on. Everybody, if you got a membership with me, stay here. Everybody that got some membership, stay here. If you have a membership, I actually need you to hit the StreamYard link. I'm about to give you guys your personal number, right? The channel's growing, the bag is growing, and when it gets to a certain point, I'm gonna be giving away prizes and stuff. And the only way I'm gonna be able to do that is if you have a current membership when you win, and it has to be your number. So everybody's gonna get their number. So if you got a membership, let me input it in. Hey Vicky, if you still around, tap in. I can give SL. If y'all watching still, tap back in real fast. Put the string all back in there. Hold on. Joe, Miss Howard, if y'all watching, tap in. I forgot about that. I forgot to do this. You know what? I'll just do it next show. Fuck it. I'm done. Wes!
What's up? You're welcome to sing, and I'd like to welcome you to the Hood on